say everything that I have, I'll give. First, you gotta pick a side. Now you got a team and you're rolling with the pride. Wanna play the game, make it to the end. I wanna bring it back again. I feel it inside. I'm reaching my stride. I'm standing my ground. I won't give in. I'm moving ahead. I'm back from the dead. I'm ready to fight again. Raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof. I'm raising the roof. All the mistakes I made, now I can change my fate. No one can take this heart away. First, you gotta pick a side. Now you got a team and you're rolling with the pride. Wanna play the game and make it to the end. I wanna bring it back again. I feel it inside. I'm reaching my stride. I'm standing my ground. I won't give in. I'm moving ahead. I'm back from the dead. I'm ready to fight again. Raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof. I'm raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof. I'm raising the roof. Find another way to fight another day. Find another way. Find another way to fight another day. Find another way to fight another day. Find another way. Find another way to fight another day. I feel it inside. I'm reaching my stride. I'm standing my ground. I won't give in. I'm moving ahead. I'm back from the dead. I'm ready to fight again. Raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof. I'm raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof. I'm raising the roof.
Out of time, time to fight back. Let me know when you get it. When they're out of line, you gotta fight back. Let me know when you get it. Hey, break down the walls, we bring back the light. Foundations crumble, but we will
of the life that we relish, I'm telling it. I'm the star of the show and the regiment. Can't stop me, bro, ain't no pedaling. Ain't no riding the wave. Staring right in your face, you know where I'm getting it. This ain't back in the days. Get ready for more and more, ain't no meddling, no. Gotta know what my head is for sure. I had a show when I was young, I had my back on the ropes. Looking like I never had her enroll in school of hard knocks. I get hard drops, got drive even when the car stops. I don't ask it if they let me, ain't no get ready. When you stay ready, let's go. You know the crowd is ready. You know the crowd is ready, get ready. You know the crowd is ready. Woo, woo. You know the crowd is ready. Get loud and ready. It's time to settle the score. Woo. Get loud and ready. We take no asking for more. Woo. Get loud and ready. It's time to settle the score. Get loud and ready. Get loud and ready. Hey.
Against the sky-blue waters of Lake Michigan, a city rises at the center of the American experience. Amongst the canyons of skyscrapers, impossible doesn't exist. This is a place where all who dare make the most of their dreams. After all, icons that tower above the rest were made here. So in this city of the greatest of champions, this city with its buildings that dagger the sky as if height is but a dare, this city without limitations welcomes its next icon. A race weekend like no other, on a course like no other. Along these shores, amongst these canyons, the sounds of NASCAR will echo in 2023.
Tonight, on Countdown to Green, we take a look back at the wild finish from the Tricky Triangle. We sit down with returning Coke Series driver Bob Bryant. and we take a look at how you're driving it home in the Logitech G Show Us Your Rig segment. All that and more tonight on Countdown to Green.
'Cause we're invincible.
Joining me, as always, is our analyst, Alan Cavana and Blake McCandless. And hey now, we're all stars because it is a special race today, Chicago Street Race. How are you two doing?
Oh, it's so good to be here. I mean, the all-star event, first of all, the Chicago Street Race, the course developed on iRacing. Now we know they're going to race it in the Cup Series next year. To race it again here for the All-Stars, it's just a perfect fit. So fun.
It really is, and not only that, Alan, but just to get it a year in advance, to really get a taste of what it's going to be like for these cars to drive. I know we've seen it in the eNASCAR Pro Invitational Series before, but to see the best in the world get a chance to tackle this course, it should be a really fun evening.
Yes, it's going to be a fun evening, but before we look ahead, we actually have to reflect back and take a look at Pocono.
Pace car off and away. Field in the hands of Taylor Hurst, number 33 Chevrolet. As we say, let's go racing at Pocono.
Kerwin was able to get a 2-for-1 right there in turn number 1. He's going to try to get the lead off at turn number 3. Battle for the top spot. Here comes Casey Kerwin looking to get it at the line. Going to drive all the way down to the checkered flag pattern on the bottom of the track to try to break the side draft. Not able to quite do it. And don't forget about Keegan Leahy. He's on 4 tires. Bowden utilizing that clean air beautifully, but not enough to hold him off. Casey Kerwin to the point.
Casey Kerwin trying to secure a huge win. He comes into tonight 8th in the standings on points alone. If he gets a win, he would rocket to 4th and lock himself in. We're going to find out right here and right now. Pace car down and in. Casey Kerwin, 2 laps to go at Pocono.
Now Casey Kerwin, they're 4 wide in the back of the pack, but it looks like they're going to get to the white flag. No, they're not. Huge wreck on the front straightaway. And we are going to overtime again.
Attempt number 1 at an eNASCAR overtime finish.
Wreck in the back of the pack. It is Colin Keister, and there they go. It's funneled here off of turn number 1. You see several drivers around that 8th spot get wrapped up in that one.
There is no more attempts. This is it. Right here, right now. Final overtime restart attempt. Pace car down and in. Zach Novak takes the green flag. 2 laps to go. Gonna come down to the final corner. Low bank, sweeping turn number 3. Kerwin to the inside. Novak sees it coming. Contact in the final corner. Side by side. Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging. And to the line. Who wins the race? It's Casey Kerwin. By 6 1/1000ths of a second. Kerwin wins it in the most outstanding fashion you will ever see.
Wow, that was a close one. I think that was probably our closest finish for the series so far. Alan, what'd you think?
Unreal. Watching that, look, I have, teamed up, if you will, with Zach Novak. I keep picking him to win, so I know it was heartbreaking for him. It was a little heartbreaking for me as well, but what a rush to see a finish like that. I can't imagine calling that, Blake.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, if my call was so good, they cut my audio out of it because I just lost my mind. I mean, it was an amazing finish and definitely one of the best finishes we've had in series history. I know, been watching the series a long time, can't quite remember one that finished like that.
Well, it was definitely a milestone here in the series. Very close finish and lots of energy happening. But I wonder how the drivers were taking it as they went along with the race. That's right. We have another open mic for Pocono, this time featuring the top 3.
Once we take the green flag, either the yellow or if we get to the white, then the checkered will end it. But there is no more attempts. This is it.
Again, implications here because Novak was clearly ahead when that caution came out. He'll have control of this next restart.
Come on, man.
Just breathe. Just breathe.
Oh! Come on, man!
Safe fuel.
There's nothing I can do there. Just a sitting duck.
Alright, I promised him I won't take him inside in turn 1. He told me when he's restarting.
Done for. I'm fine with that, dude.
Keegan knows.
Yeah, I told him start.
I'm just getting screwed over every time we restart. Just cools everyone's tires off and it puts us in the window of short run.
Yep, deep breath here. You got this. You've been here a million times before.
Final overtime restart attempt, pace car down and in. Zach Novak takes the green flag, 2 laps to go, and Leahy follows behind him.
Great jump. You're clear. He is not. Don't change lanes. You're good now. You are clear. He is not. He is getting a push from Donnie. They're separated.
They're by 2. You and him.
Alright, I just gotta hope they wreck.
10-4, we'll see what happens here. Just keep driving.
I'm running the
No
low line
pressure
here.
out back. Yep.
He is close enough to take a shot here, so it's all about the exit here.
Come on, man.
Contact in the final corner, side by side. Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging, and to the line.
He is gonna wall you. You got him. It's tight, but you're gonna get him. I think you got him.
No, I didn't.
It's Casey Kerwin by 6/1000ths of a second. You got him. Nice job. Nice job.
Let's freaking
Let's go!
Finally!
That fucking sucks. I figured it. Oh, your exit right there.
Was not gonna freaking lose that race!
Let's go! Hell of a drive, brother. Awesome job.
Can't get it to spin!
Oh my gosh, there was so much excitement for Casey. It was really great to see that and, well, hear it. And Novak especially, I feel like we should just have Zach Novak, come on, man, 2022.
I mean, you just hear it in the bleep. You hear it in the bleeps, right? I mean, all the emotion, it just sums it up. Bleep! I can't imagine losing a race like that. It's got to be so thrilling to win a race like Casey Kerwin did, even with that questionable burnout, Blake.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is that, hopefully he'll get a little more experience. He's had a couple of wins in this series so far, but yeah, maybe getting the thing turned around, that'll be something he'll improve on the next couple of races.
Well, let's have a look at some drivers that were able to maybe turn it around. Let's take a look at the point standings. Blake?
Well,
yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at those point standings right here. Again, this would be if they started the playoffs now. That is how they would be laid out. You see Ray Alfalo right there. That's the keynote, Camille and Allen. Right there, 20th place. That is where you have to be eligible, playoff eligible with a win. So Ray Alfalo hovering around that 20th position. He falls to 21st. That moves Zach Novak up, and that would move Blake Reynolds up from the 11th spot right now, currently trying to get in on points up into that 11th spot. Now, of course, none of this will change tonight, right? We're in the All-Star race. We're not racing for points tonight. We're racing for pride. We're racing on the Chicago Street Course, so this will hold for the next 2 weeks. But that's exactly what you see right there. Zach Novak, Blake Reynolds on the outside, and if you're anybody around the Mullis or Donovan Strauss area, probably having to look at a win at this point to get in.
All right, let's take a look at the team standings. Alan?
yeah, I mean, you look at the team standings, and it's interesting only because, look who's on top. Jim Beaver Esports, and that's good for them, right? That switch that they've been able to get up there. But right now, both their drivers wouldn't be in the playoffs, which is so interesting about how the math works out. But again, the team standings go through the end of the season, so there is no playoff cutoff, anything like that. It goes through the end of the season. That's what's important to think about for them. Stewart-Haas Racing, again, right there, 2 wins for Steven Wilson, running well there. I like 23-11 moving up the standings the way they have. Wasn't easy at first. They are the defending champions. Now they're +4 back up to 7th. Meanwhile, Team Dillon Esports -4. So this is a week-to-week thing how this works. So the gap between first and fourth is only 14 points. So much can change by the end of the season. That's what's so interesting about these team standings still.
Yeah, now let's talk about Pocono, the race thoughts here that you may have, Alan. Like, what was really going through your mind when you're watching these drivers race?
Yeah, when you think about Pocono, we can't, some are going to look at the Casey Kerwins of the world. I'm looking at the Zach Novaks of the world, because Zach Novak's been one of the hottest drivers in the series for the last few weeks, right? But not getting the win. And we're going to come to a point, we're getting there with the playoffs, that, a good run may not be good enough. All these second places, right now it's put him in position, Zach Novak, to be a playoff driver. But there may come a point with these road courses coming up where other winners come in. And if you don't have that checkered flag, it may change everything. I also look at a guy like Ray Alfala, who had a good run, right? Or, has had good runs, has a win, but finds himself outside the top 20. We're not even talking playoffs here. We're talking, potential relegation here. So, good runs are great, but they may not be good enough for some of these drivers. That's what's so interesting about the series, is that all the second place finishes may get you something, but they may not equal a playoff spot. That's crazy.
I know, it's really on the line for these drivers. Pocono, what did this really tell you?
I think the one thing I take away from Pocono, I think back to a couple weeks ago listening to Tommy Baldwin on Door Bumper Clear talk about racing ethics. He was bringing up the race between William Byron and Joey Logano, and how that type of racing, it has a trickle-down effect, that they see what happens on Sundays, that happens on Saturdays, it moves down to the local level, and we are starting to see that trickle-down effect, Camille, not just at the local level, but it is moving its way into the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series as well. This win at all costs mentality, I think, is just so prevalent in this series. I think Matt Weaver put it best. Respect does not pay out playoff points, or in this case wins, and I think especially here in this series we are starting to see kind of the ramifications of that, especially between two drivers that are so respected for how clean they race, in Zach Novak and Casey Kerwin putting on a finish like they did. It was exciting, but I think it shows the shift that winning at all costs is what's paramount now in this series.
Yes, it's coming down to, the final races. So I feel like a lot of these drivers are just willing to do anything at this time. All right. Now, Joe Gibbs Racing is in the top 5. We have to talk to one of the drivers that may not be doing as well as we have hoped. Alan, you have Bobby Z standing by.
Yeah, Bobby Zielinski joining us live here on Countdown to Green. Bobby, first of all, thank you for joining us. We just showed the point standings. Overall, points-wise, you're doing well. I think it's 10th most points scored, but that wouldn't put you in the playoffs right now. That's crazy. How are you feeling about the season at the moment?
On point still, so I'm not going to go out there and drive like a doofus and try to do anything stupid to try to get a win. I'm going to just drive smart like I always do. But yeah, it's been a really troubling year, just with unlucky, just getting wrecks, ill-timed caution stuff, but I'm still 10th at points, so some way every single year I can figure out how to get points at least.
Blake just brought up the respect factor that we saw at Pocono between some of the drivers. You're a veteran of this series. What do you think of the respect factor out there, knowing there's so much on the line and that one position could change an entire season? How do you balance all that?
Yeah, it's this system makes everybody have that moment where they got to decide if they're going to be a dirty driver or not. It is what it is. Yeah, when you have only 10 spots, and then in the series is kind of competitive but also random as this series with winners, it's very highly likely you get 10 different winners. So you just have to have that one kind of fortunate race, and then be top 20 in points. So it makes you want to just be a dirty driver and wreck somebody if you need to. There's drivers out there that do it clean and will race you right, and then there's some that will just say, screw it, this is my chance to make some money.
You mentioned you have options left in terms of getting that victory. Watkins Glen, we race a road course tonight. I'll ask you about that in a second. But the next race for points, Watkins Glen, another road course. All eyes are going to be looking at you for good reason, for your record, for your ability there. What's that like?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think about any pressure of people looking at me or expectations. I was that way for 4 straight years of me winning road courses. Everyone's like, you're going to win. And then I would, but I didn't ever care about that. But this year, last year, it's been a lot more competitive, a lot more difficult. And Watkins Glen is like the closest you can get to an oval for a road course in NASCAR. So it's even closer. The next gen mixed with just everyone getting better. And Watkins Glen, it's going to be just really tight. Really, really tight there in terms of, I really don't know if I'm going to win or not, because it's just all about getting that qualifying lap down and trying to stay out of trouble in the race. And it's going to be really hard to win that one, but I'm going to win it for sure.
All right, we wish you luck there. Wish you luck tonight. It's all about fun and games at the Chicago Street Course tonight. You're an all-star. You've earned it, so have fun tonight. Appreciate your time, Bobby, joining us here. What's fun about tonight and an all-star event like this is we can invite in some new drivers. And when I say new, I mean, well, familiar faces that we've seen. We have Bob Bryant joining us back in the field tonight for the all-star event. Bob, you are a familiar face to many in the iRacing crowd, especially on the eNASCAR Coke side, but no racing this season, at least not in this series. First of all, how you been? Where you been?
Yeah, man, just kind of hanging out, I guess. Great to come back and be able to mix it up with these guys. It's always an honor to be able to race with these guys. They're the best in the world, and anytime you can get on the track with them, you kind of see what you got compared to the best. So we'll see. I don't know how tonight's gonna go. We'll find out here pretty soon, I guess.
I got to ask, I mean, do you get on, do some practice laps? Is there some dust on your rig? I mean, what have you been up to in terms of practicing for tonight on a course that, they've been to before, you've been on before, but still pretty new for everybody?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of dust on it, to be honest. I haven't really ran too many laps in this car. I wasn't exactly best road course racer in the series, when I was doing this full time, and this car is a whole different animal. Just the way it brakes and the way it turns, the way it does basically everything better than the old car. So it's been a handful to get used to, but I don't know that, and obviously it's a brand new track. It's really cool what NASCAR is doing with iRacing, going to the Chicago Street Course here, and it's a tight track, but actually really fun. I feel like there's maybe some mixed emotions about how this might turn out, but I'll be honest, like it's a blast to hot lap this thing around here. It's I feel like there's some good passing zones. The car drives fairly well, so I don't know. I will see. I don't know how I'm going to do tonight, but maybe they'll put on a show in front of me. I'll have a perfect view of it.
Nothing but pride on the line. I got to ask, man, do you miss it because you were a well-known name? I know it takes a lot of practice. It takes, the full grind to do a full season, but do you miss it at all?
Yeah, I mean, for sure at times. It's a lot, man. And I don't think there's much of a secret there. A lot of these guys all put a lot into it, and it's honestly one of the things I love about this series. When you look at racing as a whole, in iRacing, everyone's here on merit. This is a 100% merit-based series. Nobody's here because somebody was able to cut a check. Nobody's here because they won a popularity contest. Everyone's here because they put in a ton of effort and they are the best at what they do. And so, whenever you're able to compete in anything in life with, the best in the world at anything, that if you're a competitive person, you miss that for sure. So, I definitely miss that aspect of it. Don't miss all the hours that I put in, testing. That's been nice to kind of reclaim that. But it's been nice to just kind of sit back and watch these guys do what they do.
Hey, I understand it. I believe it. Appreciate you joining us tonight. I'm glad you're back. Have fun with it. That's what tonight is all about. This is the all-star event on the Chicago Street Course, Camille, and it's all about fun for the main guys, for the ones that are coming back. It's an opportunity to mix it up a little bit. I love that.
Yeah, from Bobby to Bob, I mean, it's a great perspective to get those drivers that are still in it and, the drivers that are returning back. But what I love most is when we get to tune in to some of the rigs that everyone has at home to show us. This is Show Us Your Twitter Rigs, brought to you by our partners at Logitech. Our first one is from Brad, and it is very blue.
Yeah, love that lighting, and then you get a different thing from Azure77 here. Look at that computer. It looks like a fish tank almost back there. That's cool. I love the transparency.
And the air conditioning unit right next there to keep cool. We have a 3-screen setup and 2 tables on the side. I actually love how you split the keyboard and mouse here, Chris.
Oh man, this isn't so much about the rig. Look at all the memorabilia in the background.
Yeah.
That's pretty. Hey, we got a Rusty Wallace.
Blake, I was
Alan,
going
I'm
to
a
say,
big
man,
fan
look
of
at that Rusty Wallace poster. Cole Fralick, you are now my favorite. Good job.
Oh man, look at that Dale Jr. Oh man, see, I was like looking at just as much at the rigs as what else everybody has set up in there. That's an awesome Dale Jr. sign right
That
there.
shade with Dale Sr. on it, I mean, that is unique. That is very cool. Good job, G. Taylor.
Well, this is what I love about this Twitter rigs. We really get a glimpse at KO here. Perfect. I love this. Just a really nice, you're able to create your rig at home and really take part. These are fans that are people that are fans of racing, right? Whether it is within iRacing or outside. And this one is definitely a really good setup.
Yeah, what do you call that? That's cool. Another desk setup here. That's nice with the monitors. Very clean. The soundboard.
I think we have a gaming rig there as well. So you
All right.
kind of get it both in one desk.
Yeah, and here we actually have a video. This is a head mount. So we're really getting the perspective from Garrett here as Garrett's driving. I love this.
Wow, I had no idea he was racing this whole season with something like this. And I love the camera. I mean, the head mount, this is better than we see on TV on the Sunday broadcast. This is really cool.
Garrett's outdoing us here.
That's pretty. Well, I had no idea. That just looks so intense what they're trying to do. This is just for fun. This is just practice, Camille.
It's just practice, but you could also send us your rigs for us to showcase right here using the hashtag eNASCAR, taking both NASCAR and iRacing, because we want to see all of your fandom right here. Oh, there we go. Nice. There's Garrett.
Oh, I think he just spun.
Bad timing. I wonder if, with that head mount, if it ever gives him a headache while he's racing.
That's very kind of him to sacrifice his time for us.
All right, well, we're in the streets of Chicago, so we got to take a look at the track, Blake.
We do is we saw Garrett Maines make a lap around it just a couple of moments ago. You could see a lot of very tense moments, and that is exactly what this track is going to produce. First off, look at just the skyline here. Awesome 3D model right here. It's beautiful, but you can see right here 12 turns, a lot of 90-degree sections. You can see it kind of meets in the middle around turn 1 and turn 6. A lot of very long straightaways, so heavy braking zones that these next-gen cars can handle very well. And you know what? I've never seen this on a graphic, guys. Opens in real life 2023. I mean, I've never seen that before where we're previewing something that hasn't happened yet. So interesting little tidbit there. And even surprised that it's 2.14 miles. I thought maybe it'd be a little shorter than that with how condensed it is. So it's surprisingly long.
Yeah, and with this here, with the streets of Chicago, like you said, we're previewing something that we really haven't seen before out there, but we're getting that chance with this all-star race. And right here, Blake, we're going on the lane. Here we see Garrett driving through.
Now, see Garrett Maines take the start-finish line right here. Heavy braking zone. You want to get right next to those cones, that pit road wall, taking turn 1, kind of an off-camber exit right there. You're going to be leaning on that right front tire a lot. You swing right back out to the wall, another 90-degree for turn 2. And this is going to be one of the more difficult. You're really going to feel the G-forces when we get here in real life here in 2023. Sweeping corner, but you're carrying a lot of speed into turn 4.
And let's not forget, this is a special night, a special format for the All-Star event. We have an Open. The Open coming up first is 12 laps. Again, 2 miles per lap about, so that's 25.68 miles. But the top 5 from this Open advance to the All-Star race. This is all with a fixed setup. So you have some good talent in this Open field. We see some people coming back, like we talked to Bob Bryant. So 12 laps, top 5 advance to the big show, and that's going to be pretty fun.
It's going to be lots of fun right here. And we also have the heat race coming up too, right, Alan?
Yeah, and then the heat race, they move on. So it's a whole format throughout the night, 8 laps, again, with the fixed setup. And then the top 8 from the heat race, they will invert for the main race. So guaranteed action, you know what I mean? Something different. That's what an all-star event is supposed to be about. A fairly new track design that we'll see in 2023 in real life. So cool. But we get to see some of the best work their way up and then invert it for the fans, have a little fun, really make them work. If you're good at this road course, you're going to have to work to get the checkered flag tonight.
Yeah, work to get those tickets as well and the pit passes to a NASCAR Cup race and driving experience. There's a lot on the line for these drivers.
I mean, the 16-lap main event, there's that carrot that's dangling out there because the winner gets 4 tickets and pit passes to a NASCAR Cup race and the NASCAR driving experience. If you've never done it, it is a way to scare the crap out of yourself. So that is such a cool prize. A little beating and banging there here in practice. But yeah, I mean, the winner of this is plenty on the line. There's no points, there's no playoff spot, but there's plenty on the line. Get you to a race in real life. I can't wait to see them.
There's lots of fun on the line, and that's what I love the most.
Absolutely.
Heck, I think we saw Dylan Alt right there just pull a Ross Chastain there, took the long way around one of those turns right there. I think that was turn 4 and turn 5.
Hey, careful about those rules. It might be a penalty.
Oh, man, and look at this paint scheme. A special paint scheme for the Chicago street course. We'll get a good look at the side of it here. Man, that's a slick-looking paint scheme. I've always thought a paint scheme with a skyline on it would look great, and especially in this next-gen car with how wide open the side, the door of the car is. Man, that thing looks really good.
Someone should steal that next year, 2023. I mean, one of the Cup cars. That'd be really cool.
Oh, it is beautiful. I love to see everyone just really excited for Chicago street race and what this means for really iRacing and eNASCAR. But what I like to see, and although this isn't going to our overall picks of this series, I like to see what we've picked. I could be a little bit competitive. Let's start with Blake.
All right, so this is actually my first pick. I've been on Countdown to Green I don't know how many times. This is my first ever pick, and I'm going to go out with a bang. I am taking Bob Bryant. We just talked to him. He's a driver that hasn't competed in this series at all.
All right,
at least for the main. Oh, but well, there's Donovan Strauss. We're at least taking him for the Open. So.
All right, these are the Open
right there,
picks. So yeah, Donovan Strauss for you. I'm going with a guy we saw. I didn't expect to see him. I'm going with Garrett Maines because, look, I don't have much to go on, but I go back to Road America. He finished 7th at Road America. So in this field, for the Open field anyways, maybe he can be one of the best. I think Garrett Maines moves on, and I get some bragging points. That's all.
All right, well, I'm going with Zach Novak for this one. I'm hopeful, man. He just seems like a nice guy.
He's super. I don't even think Zach Novak would pick Zach Novak. I learned my lesson the hard way, Camille.
All right, a little burn for putting salt in the wound for Alan. I'm sorry, but maybe it'll work out for me this time. We'll have to see. Knowing your luck, maybe.
Yep.
All right, well, we do have that Open race coming up. We are super excited for this all-star event. There are 2 races on the line. And any final thoughts before we head into this Open?
Again, you can't stress enough how neat it is for iRacing to develop this track, have the best in the world racing on it tonight in an all-star event, all in preparation for next year in real life, where all this work that they're doing tonight, including the work they're doing tonight, coming to fruition in real life for the Cup Series. You can't stress how cool that is.
Blake, quickly, any last thoughts?
Well, I'm just interested to see how they start this race. The Pro Invitational Series got spread out really early. I don't think we'll see that with this group of drivers. I think they're going to be on top of each other, really short race, not a ton of drivers in it, or about half of a regular series field. So I think they're ready to get after it really quickly, and we should see some nice 2 or 3 wide action, I believe.
I'm ready to see it, and I know everyone at home is ready to see it. So it's time for the first race of the night. We're going to be back as we switch it up into the All-Star race. So this isn't goodbye for tonight, but it's hello for the Open race starting right now.
3 car could be about to make history. Down the back straight, pacing away for the 70 car.
Check up. Watch man and walk the track.
Let's shake things up a little and try something new. On a track so unreal, they made it real. And in a season like no other,
It is Demi Olot. Let's go dirt racing at Bristol. Are they all going to be short?
Oh man, they nearly hit there.
It's Casey Kerwin.
let's see iRacing's best, unleashed on the city streets. So sit back and have a Coke, and watch the All-Stars shine as they fly through the Windy City.
Live from iRacing's virtual Chicago street course on the shore of Lake Michigan in Grant Park is where we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series Chicago All-Star Street Race. Well, as always, we're happy that you're spending your Tuesday night with us here on iRacing Live. We're alongside myself, Evan Pasoko. Happy to be joined, as always, by Blake McCandless and Alan Cavana joining us up in the booth. Along for the ride tonight, guys. It is going to be a one-of-a-kind first-time debut for the best sim racers in the world, Blake, here on the streets of Chicago. But we can't get to handing out the creds quite yet. The All-Star Open first on deck.
Oh, exactly. You have to be in, you have to get in, and we're going to welcome 5 drivers from this Open to the All-Star race a little bit later tonight. But honestly, Evan, I think if you're in the Open, you get a lot more reps, you get a lot more experience. There hasn't been too many drivers that have real experience racing against people. I'm sure they've made a lot of test laps around here, but to be in this Open, I think will be a good learning step for these drivers who likely haven't seen a lot of traffic or race in traffic a ton at this racetrack.
Well, Alan, we talk so much about the road to $300,000, but that takes a back seat tonight, right? All of that pressure and the nerves and the consequences of what we saw a couple of weeks ago at Pocono doesn't matter tonight. No points, only bragging rights. Curious to see how aggressive these drivers will be with the points on the line, or if they're going to race just as aggressively no matter what.
Yeah, well, nothing to lose, right? So you can be ultra aggressive in a situation like this. Remember, there is that carrot. There is a prize out there of 4 tickets and a pass to a real NASCAR Winston Cup. Do a cup race in the future. I'm
real
living in the past,
there.
man. I've got to think about the future. But, you know, there's still plenty to race for tonight. I expect more aggression, not less, because there are no points on the line.
And it could be a night full of attrition. So enough said, let's get this one underway. Let's go down trackside to tonight's Grand Marshal for the most famous words in motorsports.
Guys, you got former NFL tight end Clay Harbor here. I'm a native of Chicago, Illinois. On behalf of everyone from my city, I couldn't be more thrilled to have NASCAR in my hometown. So that being said, are you guys ready? Drivers, start your engines!
Welcome everyone to the 2022 eNASCAR iRacing All-Star Open. Top 5 advance, the other 16 head back to the hauler. Who will have a shot for the ultimate prize in the All-Star race? We are about to find out. Ladies and gentlemen, here are your 2022 eNASCAR iRacing All-Star Open drivers. From Sacramento, California, and driving the number 40 Letarte Esports Camaro, taking to the streets of Chicago and taking part in his very first All-Star event, it's rookie Dylan Alt. Hailing from parts unknown, also known as Lima, Ohio, wheeling number 55 Space Station Gaming Toyota, it's none other than Alan Bose. After 2 years on the sidelines, he is back in eNASCAR competition. Driving the number 42 E-Racer Chevrolet du Mont-Magny, Quebec, Canada, c'est Derek Bordeaux. Without question, the best haircut in sim racing, driving the very nice 69 E-Racer Camaro. Business in the front, party in the back, it's rookie Colin Bowden. From Huntersville, North Carolina, driving the number 2 Elliott Sadler Esports Chevrolet. 5 years of trying, 5 years of frustration, and now an all-star competitor, it's rookie Liam Brotherton. In the number 41 Ford Mustang representing Stuart Haas Racing, one of the many Maritimers in the field tonight from Halifax, Nova Scotia, it's Dylan Duval. In the number 9 Jim Beaver Esports Ford Mustang driving out of Brownsburg, Indiana, come on over for the barbecue, it's Michael Guest. Driving the legendary number 17 for Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing out of Aledo, Texas. Taking his experience from tarmac to tech, it's eNASCAR rookie Caden Honeycutt. With the backing of iRacing Motorsports behind him, he was looking to find the front tonight from Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Laying down the law, it's Derek Justice. From Frostburg, Maryland, rising from the ashes and back into the eNASCAR grid. In the number 43 Toyota from the Charlotte Phoenix, it's Colin Keister. Trying to use his iRacing Rallycross experience here tonight in Chicago from Powhatan, Virginia. In the number 31 for Elliott Sadler Esports, it's Garrett Maines. In the number 36 Letarte Esports Chevrolet, hailing from North Caldwell, New Jersey, trying to jet into victory lane tonight, it's eNASCAR rookie Dr. Bob Brian Mercurio. Representing Rise Esports from Clinton, Connecticut, he is the highest placed driver without a win this season. Hungry to put his number 5 Chevrolet in victory lane in 2022, it's 2019 champion Zach Novak. Another maritime Canadian from Truro, Nova Scotia. He's not on the racetrack, he's up in the clouds and poetically driving the Space Station Gaming number 54 Toyota. It's the Flower rookie Kyle Peddle. From Greer, South Carolina, the number 7 iRacing Motorsports Mustang, a fan favorite, a driver that definitely knows how to put on a show. Give it up for Malik Ray. Carrying the number 6 for Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing, trying to translate his real-life experience into a win on the city streets tonight in his Mustang from Rylander, Wisconsin, it's Parker Retzlaff. Translating a strong showing in the contender season to a strong season thus far, the number 15 Jim Beaver Esports Mustang, trying to find victory lane from Houston, Texas tonight, it's Blake Reynolds. In the flagship number 14 Mustang for Clint Boyer Racing, driving out of the world-famous Darndale, Arkansas, and back from a 2-year hiatus, it's Nicholas Shelton. Fresh face to eNASCAR competition, the streets of Chicago will be a test for this young gun. From Marietta, Georgia, driving the number 20 Camry for Williams Esports, it's Donnie Donovan Strauss. From Louisville, Kentucky, driving the Team Dillon Esports number 3 Chevrolet, he'll need all of his on-track experience to fight his way to a win tonight, it's Corey Vincent. From Roanoke, Virginia, behind the wheel, the number 16 Wood Brothers Racing Ford, looking for an edge in the competition tonight, it's Blade Witt. It's time to step up or step aside. It's time for the 2022 eNASCAR All-Star Open.
Ready to rock and or roll if necessary, and you take a look at your Coca-Cola starting grid. Of course, Garrett Maines representing Elliott Sadler Esports on a pole position for this one, alongside the Stuart Haas Esports number 41 of Dylan Duval. Row number 2 is going to see Blake Reynolds. It is number 15 entry for Jim Beaver Esports, alongside the RFK entry. That is Parker Retzlaff in the number 6 machine. Back on row number 3, fit tonight goes to Brian Mercurio's number 36 for Letarte Esports. And the Wood Brothers put the 16 Blade Witt on the outside of row number 3. Row 4 will see the Rise Esports fueled by Sudoku number 5 is Zach Novak, alongside the second of your Jim Beaver Esports entries, the number 9 of Michael Guest. And on row 5, Derek Bordeaux in the E-Racer 42, going to stand up alongside the Team Dillon Esports number 3 of Corey Vincent. Blake, your top 10.
Starting on the inside, or at least starting in the 11th position, rather, will be Dylan All for Letarte Esports, rather. It'll be Alan Bosta hits outside, starting in the 12th position. There you'll find Elliott Sadler Esports' own Liam Brotherton just behind him in that 13th spot. 14th will be Colin Bowden. And starting in 15th tonight, last driver that is running in this open tonight, you have RFK Racing's Caden Honeycutt. Makes up for 15 drivers, of which, Evan, top 5 will advance to our All-Star feature later on tonight.
5 going to be the magic number. The driver who's got the best view of them all is the driver on pole. Garrett Baines going to bring us to the green, and James Pike is on the radio with him.
Indeed, with the driver from Powhatan, Virginia, Garrett Baines. And Garrett, you outqualified everybody else in this open by nearly a half second. So where do you feel like you found the speed in your Q lap, and where do you think the keys are to maintaining speed throughout a lap here at the Chicago Street Course?
Well, I'm happy to say that I actually think I know where I lost time on my Q lap. Where I think it's going to be really important in this race is being able to stay off the walls, because making that speed is really, risky. And I know the 4 guys behind me for sure can definitely make it happen if they need to. So I think this is going to be a good fight, and hopefully our Chevy Liners Camaro will be out front at the end.
There's a lot of speed in this road course, a lot of bravery, a lot of heavy braking zones. So we'll see just how deep these drivers decide to send it off into these corners, Evan.
It's going to be interesting to see 7 of the 12 corners on this racetrack are true 90-degree corners. So it's going to be tight, hard braking, and going to be the key things that we look for over the course of this race. Again, first of 3 actual races we'll see over the course of this afternoon, Blake. But as we get set to get things kicked off with the Open, why don't you tell us more about it with a look at our Asus race analysis?
Let's take a look at that, Evan. And again, a unique format, obviously, for tonight. We'll take a look at the Open. 12 laps, of course, as we mentioned a little bit earlier on Countdown to Green. Top 5 will advance through to your main feature tonight. And then, of course, a little bit later in the All-Star race, you can read that at the bottom part of your screen. But the concern right now, that Open race, 12 laps and top 5 will advance to your All-Star race, of which will be taking part a little bit later on tonight.
Let's not forget the only other time we've seen this track at eNASCAR sanctioned competition was back in the 2021 eNASCAR Pro Invitational iRacing Series, a race won by James Davison. And Blake, you were pretty close to that one.
Well, we were spotting James in that one, and honestly, I'd love to take as much credit for that as possible, but James was just really good that night. There was nobody that was going to touch him, but it was great to kind of get a feel for how this race is going to progress, how you want to pass. I mean, you can see, Evan, just pacing right here is difficult here. Not a whole lot of wide space. It's going to be really difficult to try and make your moves when you want to make these passes, but that's what's going to make it exciting.
Should be a really exciting night and a great preview of what is to come on the 2023 Cup Series calendar. But the pace car going to dive out of the way and hand things off to the number 2 car. Garrett Baines from the front takes the green. We're racing in the All-Star Open on the streets of Chicago. And already a race leader, Baines into the outside wall, and to the inside to turn number 2. Here comes Dylan Duvall. The gear-wrench Ford Mustang sneaks through. Early change for the race lead. And now Retzlaff also looking up the inside, as it is a struggle early on for Garrett Baines.
That was the first thing he said in our interview, is that he didn't want to do. He was trying to find the location where he could be better. First corner of the race. I don't know if it was nerves, what it could have been, but he has some making up to do right now. Again, the top 5 advance, but Garrett wants that win. We heard him. We heard the confidence in his voice. Tough first corner for him.
One of those 7 90-degree corners that caught him out. Damage shouldn't be too bad, but it really just slowed him down for that whole part of the racetrack that went down South Lakeshore to Roosevelt Road and then back onto the second half of Columbus Drive. Now towards the back half of the lap, this sweeping left-hander. It encompasses turns 8, 9, and then the right-hander out of it is turn number 10, Blake. This part of the racetrack by far the thinnest on the circuit.
Oh, I mean, that was something I heard immediately from James's radio when we were talking during that race, was just how just little space there is on that exit, how precise you have to be. And again, at a lot of these corners, despite the fact that it's narrow, you can make up a lot of ground if you can really hit it correctly. So you're going to be running on the edge of these inside walls. I mean, you could see Blake Reynolds right there almost scraping the inside wall into turn number 1. You have to take advantage of all the space here at this course to be able to maximize that speed.
Well, who's to say that stock cars can't put on a show on a street course like this? It will be history when the NASCAR Cup Series does it next year, but we've been seeing the likes of the NASCAR Pinty Series do this for the last handful of years, and again, a learning experience for the drivers here on the service, many of which helped those real-life pros prepare for that Pro Invitational race last year, and of course, looking forward to having success here this afternoon. But Duval able to pull away just a little bit. Remember, our focus, Alan, only really on those top 5. Duval, Retzlaff, Maines, Reynolds, Mercurio. Right now, those are the 5 that are in. Now, 12 laps, not that long of a race, but also not that much of a sprint. You do need to make sure the race car stays in one piece and avoid too many wall taps if you want to get to the end of this thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's really that survive and advance mentality, right? But you can't, through what I'm seeing here throughout a lap, is that there aren't that many opportunities, right? So you have to be able to pounce at the right time. That's what's going to be tough to make up some of these positions if you're not in the top 5 just yet. You survive, you advance, you move on to the big show where that carrot's out there for the big prize. But I'm just seeing fewer and fewer opportunities each time on this track. There's a lot of learning that has to go on right now, especially as you're trying to advance. This isn't the normal, Road America that we've seen just a few weeks ago. Replay from just a few laps ago, Evan.
You can take a look. That is Vincent back there in traffic, and it looked like he had a shot from the 9 car, missed the corner, into the tire barrier, collects the number 69 of Colin Bowden. Several other drivers get a bit of damage in that one. And then just a lap prior to this, more issues. We were watching Derek Bordeaux in 7th. He also spun down in turn 1. So those self-inflicted errors causing headaches early. And here's a look to the inside for 2nd. But your pole sitter Garrett Maines Blake opts to stay in line to P3. Remember, he dropped those 2 spots on the opening lap, but is doing everything he can to find a way back around Parker Retzlaff.
I don't think you're going to see that a lot, Evan. You could see him kind of poke the nose. Hey, I'm here. I want to try to make a move, but you just really have to have great on these drivers to try and make that pass right here. As you can see, working their way towards turns 10 and 11 right here. One of the last 2 90-degree corners there are to end this lap. Going over this bridge, and what a tough braking zone right there. You're going down the bridge. You can see contact made right there. You can ride right along with Garrett Maines as he tries to find a way around Parker Retzlaff. He's going to poke to the inside and hope he gives it to him into turn 1.
He tried to flash the nose again, but the 6er Retzlaff didn't fall for it, held his braking line, and Garrett Maines was forced to tuck in line again. Right hand here, turn number 2. This takes these drivers closest to the shores of Lake Michigan down South Lakeshore Drive. Right hand kink here for turn number 3. A little bit of a harder braking zone. Not quite a 90-degree corner, though, right here for turn number 4 onto Roosevelt Road. And then you get set up for what is essentially the back straightaway. This stretch of Columbus Drive gets used twice. It's the front stretch. It's also the back stretch. If you kept going straight, you'd be going the wrong way down pit road. Instead, they'll bow out with a left-hand turn here for turn number 6. And again, this is where things really get congested, where passing is going to be difficult, and you almost might have to force somebody into a mistake. We saw quite a touch there, Alan, when Maines and Retzlaff got into each other, but they both carried on, and you've been a bit of a tank slapper there with a 31 hanging the back end out, getting a piece of the fence. Every lap, somebody is hitting something.
It's really high risk, high reward because of how narrow it is. And look, it's all relative, right? They're not going as fast as Road America or Pocono that we've seen, right? The speed is relative when you consider just how tight this is. We just saw it with the 3 car. One little mistake, one little corner, and there's nowhere to go. And all of a sudden you're into the wall, and then other cars are getting caught up in your mess. And then you have to be willing to pounce, just like we saw the 31 and 6 there. The 6 got on the brakes, the 31 not in position as he could have been, possibly, to make that pass there. So you have to be in position. This is really testing the drivers, every single one of their abilities in terms of being both technical, being in the right place at the right time, and it's going to come down to that risk-reward factor of braking into some of these tight corners that you can't really even see around.
So the movement inside of those top 5, Duval, Retzlaff, Maines, Reynolds, Mercurio holding the transfer spots. Blake, and you're the resident driver amongst us. I have to think, most road courses, Alan, referencing Road America that we've seen previously, on the exit of a corner, as we jump back to watch the battle with Dylan Alta to Blade Witt for 8th and 9th position, and 40 cars going to miss the corner, so that'll hand things to Blade Witt for the number 8 spot. But most road courses, you got rumble strips on the exit, right? You're aiming to feel that on the corner exit. You don't have that here, right? You're going right up against the wall. You've driven many laps on this track. Is that any kind of factor in how you attack this track, or is it more so just the claustrophobia of feeling walls on both sides of you?
It's very prevalent, Evan, because, again, to make time up, you're going to have to exit all the way out to that wall. So I wouldn't be surprised when we start to see these cars working here once they kind of build this track in 2023. What these drivers, how close they're going to be to the wall, that's going to be an adjustment period, because when you're in the cockpit of that car, you can hear how close you are to that wall, especially down these long straightaways. So that's going to be something that drivers in the Cup Series, and even these drivers tonight that, maybe they're in the feature and they're watching this race, they've already done a little bit of practice. They're going to have to get comfortable with that, because, again, it's just so narrow, but you can make up a lot of speed if you really push it. So like Alan was talking about, risk-reward versus braking, the line you take, there's a little bit of time to gain, but obviously one mistake and you can break a toe link on this car, or perhaps even worse.
We saw that a lot in practice. Drivers, you nick the wall, especially going into the corner. We're going to want to be real tight on it on the apex to the inside of the corner right here, the left-hander. Look how close they get to the wall there on the passenger or driver side, I should say, of the race car there. Drivers hit that. They rip the right side of the race car off. You cause a lot of toe damage, wheel damage, and you're out of it. Also, a lot of drivers in practice, Alan, seemingly were focused on hot laps, right? I mean, qualifying, I think, was a big part of this. We talk about how difficult it's going to be to set up and execute a pass, but I really didn't see a ton of drivers do 12-lap runs in practice, at least from this group earlier on. It looked like they were trying to push the limit on short runs, making lots of mistakes because they really don't know where that line is yet.
Yeah, and we're seeing that play out right in front of our eyes. I don't think we've seen a perfect lap yet from, say, Garrett Maines, right? We see him continue to hit the wall and scrape it with the end of the car. It's one thing to be fast for a lap and get the pole, but you got to put 12 perfect ones down if you want to get that victory or if you want to be out in front. We're seeing some of that right now from Duval, right? I mean, he is driving a clean race, and I think that is showing its way as the path to success, at least at this track, because it's hard to make up ground. Garrett Maines, we know he's fast, but he's yet to be able to make up the ground that he lost from those tiny little mistakes. And a shout out to what Duval's doing right now. I'm looking up what he did at Road America. 37th at Road America, if I'm reading that right. So for him to be out here leading these laps on a road course like the Chicago Street Course, good for him right now.
It is an impressive run for him. Should note that Caden Honeycutt was running in the number 6 spot. His car has gone to pit road, so his night may be done after he was falling back from the transfer position. And that bubble spot still remains in the hands of the 36 of Bryant Mercurio. Started 5th, runs in 5th, and to that point, we bring back in the 4th member of our broadcast team, James Pike, on pit road.
If you get a good look here at Brian Mercurio's machine, you might notice a different paint scheme on his car tonight for the Letarte Esports driver. He's representing the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, where drivers in iRacing that are of collegiate age get the opportunity to race for scholarship money. We had some races in the spring that were broadcast here on iRacing's channels. It returns in the fall, beginning with Homestead Miami Speedway. There will be a time attack in the iRacing UI that will be available from September 6th to 15th. And the top 40 drivers from that time attack that are eligible will race in the first race of the fall on September 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's an off week for the Coke Series, incidentally, so we'll have racing on Tuesday night regardless, but you can visit eNASCAR.com for more information on the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, and we look forward to see which collegiate drivers will get the opportunity to compete and potentially win a few scholarship dollars down in South Florida.
Looking forward to seeing that as we're under the competition caution in this All-Star Open. Of course, even in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, we saw some drivers from this Coke level, the likes of Santiago Tires, Logan Clampett, Stephen Wilson competing. Race wins to Colton Salick, Daniel Buttafuoco, some of the other big names across the surface. So looking forward to the return of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series a little bit later this year. I can tell you what, though, Blake, Brian Mercurio did not want that competition yellow to have to come out because he was some 7 seconds on the bubble ahead of the challenger in P6, and now we are going to group them all back up, and this 12-lap race turns quickly into a sprint.
We'll see if Brotherton in that Chicago paint scheme can try to make his way into the race, and he's got some shades on. He's enjoying himself right here running down the streets of Chicago. He looks like he should be behind the wheel of a convertible on the streets of Chicago right now.
Hey, his car looks good. He looks good. I mean, you got to live it. You got to live the vibe, right? And that's such a great paint scheme that we see with the city skyline out there. Look at that, next level. Next level is a great way to put it. So yeah, look good, feel good.
He's not the only one sporting the Chicago vibes tonight. Zach Novak also with some, I think that's some Chicago Bulls red on the front and a big old orange basketball. You got the flag of the city of Chicago on the roof. Let me say to the fine folks over at Sunoco, if you guys are going to start printing Sunoco basketballs, I'll take one. But everybody embracing the theme, right? We see this with different race weekends we race on over the course of the year. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. We'll probably see some more fun paint schemes when we get to the All-Star feature. And hopefully, guys, the Cup Series teams join in on the fun. And maybe we'll see some special NASCAR Cup cars in 2023.
I like seeing Zach smile there because he will be the first to tell you, maybe not the greatest on road courses. He's had a great run here lately in the Coke Series, but just was on the losing end of a memorable highlight that we'll see forever at Pocono, finishing second. So I'm glad the Connecticut kid is smiling.
Hey, I'm sure he's not going to be a fan of the fact that it's going to be played over and over, but it was a thrilling finish between he and Kerwin to the end of the race at Pocono. But again, outside of this race, outside of this All-Star Invitational, if you will, there is a lot of pressure on these drivers. So I'm sure they're enjoying taking it easy and talk about embracing the Chicago vibes. James Pike is with Liam Brotherton.
Was about to say, we need to talk to Liam Brotherton here because, Liam, you clearly have embraced the Chicago-ness. So tell us about your setup, both on your rig and then your paint scheme on your car.
Yeah, so I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for tuning in. Very excited for Chicago. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. I work for NASCAR, and this is basically my sole focus, along with some other things for the next, year. So I work with this every day. Very excited to run this race, so I wanted to deck the car out in the Chicago livery, get the logo on the back. Got the next level rig. Thank you to them for letting us run this cool paint scheme. I got the Captain America Roosevelt on, and I got the shades just to, get in the mood.
So your vibes are color coordinated, your car is color coordinated. How's it performing out on the racetrack, and what do you expect out of these final few laps?
Well, unfortunately, they're on the qualification period. I decided to hit the wall in the last corner, and that nullified my lap. Started 13th, and immediately got involved in a crash, so lost a bunch of ground. Got back up to 6th. I think I'm faster than Mercurio, but I do know there's some guys behind me that are also super quick that wrecked. So it's going to be wild. We're going to have some fun, and thanks for tuning in. And all the fans out there watching, be ready, get your tickets, be here next year, because it's going to be wild.
I don't know if I'm quite ready to run through a brick wall yet, but I'm pretty close of it. I got to say, the Elliott Sadler Esports driver, definitely excited for the event tonight.
I just want that energy to keep it up through the rest of the night, and if you can keep up that energy through the rest of the year, I think good things going to be coming to the two.
Liam Brotherton putting his marketing degree to good use there. He is really selling this, selling himself, selling the product. I love it. So good stuff there. And dare I say, he's got some Ferris Bueller vibes going on for the Chicago race. The young man's only 22. I don't even know if he knows that reference, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but just let me tell you, Liam, you are pulling it off.
Well, and I'm wondering with the vibes, I'm wondering when his breaking point's going to be, because I feel like that carefree attitude may be pretty late here to turn one.
Let's see. They didn't do a good job first time through. Green flag back in the air. 3 laps to go. Duvall's going to get a head jump up in front. It's Garrett Maines to second position. And behind him, a bit of a struggle through turn 1 for Brotherton. He's got Dylan Alt trying to challenge at the outside. Right-hander in 2. They're going to stay side by side. So no time gained, no time lost. But Brotherton still one shy of the transfer spot as he has to deal with the challenge for the 40 of Alt. He'll clear him down to the heavier braking zone for the right-hander now, turn number 5.
See if Brotherton can kind of rally back here. He needs Alt to almost help him a little bit. Mercurio kind of pulling away by a couple of car lengths. And again, only 3 laps to make it happen. We know, we've been talking about all night how long it is it could potentially take to set up some passes. So Brotherton going to have to get aggressive here to try to catch back up to Mercurio. Everybody in front of Mercurio, though, don't imagine we're going to see too many desperate moves out of there because right now they're in. They're not going to want to risk that.
I think the drivers that the most desperate is Dylan Alt, because Alt has been all over the bumper of Brotherton since this race went back green. Of course, Brotherton, first driver on the outside looking in, but he took at least 3 shots from Dylan Alt since the green flag came out. So Alt knows he's got to dispose of the 2, and sideways that time for Brotherton. Alt looks to the inside, doesn't make the move, but I'll tell you what, Alan, he thought about it in turn 12. 2 laps to go this time.
Absolutely, and that only leads to the frustration, right? You know you have the better car, you know you're running out of time to do it, but you can't quite make the pass. So Liam Brotherton not having a great restart here. You can see him losing it there. And then we have a battle for the lead, Evan. Oh, I love it. Garrett Maines finally running those perfect laps. It's the first time Dylan Duval's been tested tonight. Let's see how he does.
Maines was able to steal back second quickly off of the restart. Now looking to the outside of Dylan Duval. Right hand kink turn 4. They're going to slow it all the way down to about 55 miles an hour in 5. He's got the run, but Duval going to seal off the inside. The next turn's a left-hander, so Duval going to be on the inside. He'll force Maines to go wide, and he'll squeeze him up against the fence. Dylan Duval making that car wide, Blake.
Oh, he is, and Garrett Maines, my goodness, he's been trying the outside around every single corner and has nearly been making it work, so I love the effort there from Garrett Maines to try and find some type of way to try to get a run off the corners. He's doing a great job trying to attack, and Duval's done equally as good of a job defending.
Well, what's crazy is, like, again, they are both going to advance, right? There's nothing really on the line for a win, but you can't take that mentality out of a racer, out of the person holding the steering wheel and not go for that checkered flag. This could cost both of them if it went wrong, right? I mean, if they had contact at the wrong time, they could both lose it and not advance. We just hit the final lap. And there is clearly there's no thought about maybe just laying up and both advancing and being fine. Garrett Maines wants this win right now. Look at the intensity in both these guys.
Both working hard. Live looks on the left-hand side as we'll go side by side for the race lead again. Once more, though, Duval protecting the inside. Maines going to go for the crossover. They touch. Duval's into the outside wall. And Parker Retzlaff from third rockets to the race lead.
Oh, my goodness.
He just wrecked him. They were both in, and he just wrecked him. And now Maines might be on the outside looking in.
Alan, you said it. First and second both pay in, but it did not matter. They both wanted to win.
Unbelievable. You can't take that mentality out. It's hard to calm a racer down and say, don't worry about the checkered flag. But here's the battle for the transfer, Evan.
Dylan Alt now finds himself on the bubble. Brotherton still on the outside as Dylan Duval falls outside of the top 8. Not only will he not win this race, but he also won't advance to the All-Star. Up front, Retzlaff has one final corner. It's Blake Reynolds trying to close in. Reynolds going to come up shy. Retzlaff wins. Reynolds second. Mercurio third. Maines 4, and Dylan Alt will hang on in the 40 car from 11th on the grid, passes 6 drivers, and finds himself in to the All-Star main event. Well, we said it was a laid-back night. We said points didn't matter, that they were going out for fun. And it came down for the second week in a row now. Contact for the race lead on the final lap. This time, the beneficiary is the Roush Fenway Keselowski Ford of Parker Retzlaff, who steals the win in the All-Star Open, again leading the likes of Blake Reynolds, Bryant Mercurio, Garrett Maines, and Dylan Alt, your top 5 drivers who will advance to the All-Star.
And now, Evan, the one thing about this is, we get the benefit of listening to some communications here. And, this is an all-star race. You don't want to affect your season. And right now, Duval and Maines, you can imagine, not very happy with each other. Duval in a great position to try and make the playoffs. Garrett Maines not so much, a little further behind. But does a race like this affect that going forward?
We talked about the pressures outside of this race maybe weighing on things, Alan, but I don't know if I would use my off week to create more enemies with a lot of critical points races coming up. But again, we all knew it, right? Both first and second, they pay into the feature. But when you hang an aggressive race in front of two race car drivers, they just can't help themselves. And let's take a second look at what happened on that final lap.
And, you know, it's something we saw coming. First and second, final lap, and Garrett Maines right in both fenders of Dylan Duval. Totally changing up this entire thing. Dylan Duval led every lap, and now he finishes a painstaking 7th. You could see the advancement spot. Now he won't have that opportunity.
A tough break for him, of course, the beneficiary, Dylan Alt, who was in 6th position at the time of the contact. He comes home as the final transfer. But after some late race fireworks, Parker Retzlaff wins the All-Star Open, and he is headed on to the main event. There is still tons of racing action to come this afternoon. We'll take a quick opportunity to step aside. When we come back, the eNASCAR Chicago All-Star Street Race continues, streaming on eNASCAR.com.
Here, the number 23 car could be about to make history. Down the back straight, pacing away for the 70 car.
Check up. Watch, I have them walking the track. There's a reputation on the track, being built this very minute. One that embraces the crazy.
Oh my goodness!
The fast. And the unpredictable. It looks into the eye of the competition and screams, bring it. Loud enough so the whole world will see it coming. I am the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I am NASCAR. The white flag is out. A notice to all drivers that the regular season is coming to an end.
White flag here.
That now is the time to fight for the final playoff spot or surrender.
Now's the time. Let's do it. Show me what you got, boys. Let's get it.
This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, and by Asus, the official PC and monitor of eNASCAR, and by Logitech. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. In 22 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series All-Star Race from the Chicago Street Course, where we are now joined by our open race winner, Parker Retzlaff. And Parker, you just sort of had a front row seat to everything that was happening in front of you on those final few laps. So from your perspective, what did you see in the battle between Garrett and Dylan, and what would you either avoid that or capitalize that if something broke out like it did?
Yeah, I mean, I seen him doing the same thing for the lap before that, so I even was talking to Vicente Salas in Discord, or not Discord in TeamSpeak, but I said, it looks like they're going to wreck each other for the lead, and I'm just going to try and, so I waited back a little bit, just to try and capitalize on it, and I did. They just cleared the hole on the bottom there, and on the last lap, and I was able to capitalize and get the lead. We were all locked in. There wasn't really any reason for it, but I guess everyone is just racing hard to try and make the race and get some wins whenever they can get them.
It might not be a points race win, but for the luck that you've had this year and the performances you've had, how big is a victory in an eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series event, and how big is this for your momentum going into the final few races of the season?
I think no matter what race it was, there was still, the best drivers on the sim in the race with us, so any luck and any wins we can get in the RFK number 6 we're happy about it, and we're going to hopefully take the momentum into the main race here.
Speaking of the main race, now that you've gotten some laps under your belt, do you feel like that extra experience and extra practice on the track, especially in race conditions, does that give you a slight advantage, maybe more so than some of the drivers who didn't run the Open?
Yeah, I think it gives you some more experience for racing around cars. It's a little bit different than just running laps by yourself. So unless they did some practice with their teammates and stuff, I think that racing in the Open might have helped you.
Well, there is your winner of the Open race, Jamil. It's Parker Retzlaff from RFK. Also, Keselowski's driver, getting it done in our first race of the evening at Chicago.
Thank you, James, and congratulations to Parker. Wow, what a race. It was really down to the final moments. So why don't we take a look at the highlights?
I see the highlights.
All right, let's go through some of these highlights here.
Oh, just going over. Seeing what we saw. I was just rewatching all this. You could see how tight the racing was. Right from the bat, the drivers hitting the wall, how technical, how smart you had to be. I believe this was the restart, right? This was the first time Dylan Duval was about to get tested. We went restart with less than, 5 laps to go. And it should have all been good. Dylan Duval led every lap, but here comes Garrett Maines. There was the aggression there. You want to get that checkered flag, Camille, and we all know how that ended. 23 car here, slowing up, not having the best day. But in the end, it was Parker Retzlaff who said, right? You got to use your head more than your car sometimes, and he saw what was going to happen. He was in position, and now he advances as the winner.
I know. I love the fact that Parker shared with James that he was just talking to Vicente about what he was seeing up ahead and knew that he needed to take advantage of that opportunity and was just waiting for the right moment. Right, Blake?
Yeah, exactly. That's what you want to do. And in a race like this, where we're getting that competition caution with just a handful of laps to go, it's all how you can manage those late race restarts, right? Getting a good jump, maintaining your track position side by side, and again, how you're going to manage being in a certain position. We saw how Maines and Duval were going to manage being in already. They were both in. I'm still shocked that they decided to do that, but I tell you what, racers, they're not the most patient people, and you can tell them, hey, guess what? You can just finish second. They're not going to listen to you. No, 10 times out of 10, they're not going to listen to you.
So their lack of patience definitely cost them here. How do you think Duval feels really going through this now and seeing that the lead is just taken away?
Blake knows better than anybody. How much time you put into something like this, how many practice laps you put into something like this, working on setup, working with your teammate, even, on a night like this where it's just supposed to be about fun. You know who's not having any fun right now? Dylan Duval. And that's what this night was not supposed to be about. So I can only imagine how miffed he must be as a driver, Blake.
Well, and again, how's this going to affect that relationship moving forward? Right now, Garrett Maines just a little bit outside the playoff cut line on points. Dylan Duval even a little further back. So you're both kind of in a position where you need to win. But you don't want something to happen in a non-points paying race that's going to affect racing somebody different, having a little bit of beef with somebody moving forward. I don't think that's what you want to do going into tonight. But yes, very frustrating for Dylan. 1 lap away from winning. He was going to, talk to us here, talk to James Pike, be able to shout out Storehouse Esports and his sponsors. And I'm sure he really wanted to do that. And not only to have that taken away, but then not even be in the feature race. I'm sure that's got to be very frustrating for him.
And we always talk about picking your moments as drivers, right? If you have to be aggressive, you have to be in this series if you want to get victories in a championship. But was that the moment he really wanted to pull the trigger? I'm talking about Garrett Maines. Probably not, right? And now you got a driver mad at you. You have other people like us watching, wondering, about the move there, questioning what you did. You don't need any of that. Again, this is supposed to be about fun, and it's turned into something a little different tonight. So certainly everyone will be questioning those moves tonight.
Well, let's take a look at that track because we're going to be revisiting it for the All-Star race. So how do you think the drivers now going into seeing how the Open went, going into the All-Star race, what do you think they're taking away here?
Well, I think now we get kind of a different perspective of looking at this track map after seeing it play out the first couple of laps that we've seen. That turn 1, if you can get a lead out of there, you saw your leaders do that before the competition yellow. You have a great setup. Turns 4 and 5 right now those end up being where Garrett Maines and Dylan Duval got in contact, but also Maines was kind of willing to run the outside of that long sweeper through 3 into 4 and 5, kind of at the north end of the racetrack. So I think that stretch of the track, we're already seeing it right now, and then that long straightaway after that, that's going to be the best opportunity to pass because those long sweepers 7, 8, 9 at the back end of the course really tight. So I think even if you're a NASCAR Cup Series team, you're going to start looking at turns 3 through 5 is going to be your primary passing zone.
And they really want to get familiar with this track because we know it's going to be making a return next year. So this is really their time to get that practice in. But I want to talk about the fact that although this is an all-star race, the mindset for these drivers coming out of this all-star race and then going back to the series, how do you think that affects them, Blake?
I think it affects them quite a bit, knowing that, you get some stress-free practice this year. You imagine that, there's a good chance this road course will be on the schedule next year in Coke Series competition as well, and they'll probably be paying points for it as well. So a lot that you can always build on next year as well. And then, of course, the real world of things, being able to see how things are going to work.
All right, well, unfortunately, there was one driver in the Open that did not see the ending turn out as they wanted. Duval is one of those drivers. Alan, I believe you have Duval on standby to talk to.
Thankful. And thank you to Dylan Duval joining us now. Dylan, your night is over early when it should have been ending at least with a checkered flag or advancing to the All-Star event itself. Just tell us your emotions at the moment because it shouldn't have ended this way.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't have. We had a good run in our gear-wrench Ford Mustang, and honestly, I don't really have any emotions other than anger. I'm kind of just sick of getting used up by these kids who don't know how to race anyone. As soon as you try to race these guys like Garrett, Vicente, people like that, it's just their mental gets shattered and they lose all idea of what they're doing, and then they cause wrecks. So I don't know. It's definitely frustrating. Won't be the last of it between any of us. I'm over being raced like that. I'm gonna start racing them that way.
That's the next natural question. How do you handle this as a competitor? Tonight was supposed to be about fun, but you got wrecked as the leader. How do you handle something like this going forward?
I mean, I should probably handle it better than I'm going to. It's ridiculous. It's been the same thing with me all year. I feel like I've run very well, and I just, over and over and over again, these kids keep doing the same thing, and I don't race people like that. I don't expect to be raced like that, and it's frustrating. I just don't really know how to put it any other way than that. Just hopefully they're ready for what's to come because I'm over it. It's simple as that.
Strong words. Sounds like a promise. Dylan, your night ended too early, but commend you on all the laps you led. and we will see you at the next road course, which happens to be Watkins Glen. So that was really cool of Dylan Duval to join us, guys.
Yeah, I know it's always hard, especially after a race like that, to join and talk about that. And obviously, we could see that Duval is not liking it and putting some words of warning out to the rest of the drivers out there. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds in the series. But for now, we are getting closer to that All-Star race, which means we gotta talk about our picks, Blake.
Well, I get to spoil. I spoiled it a little bit earlier. So, anyways,
Remind the people.
Well, we're going to remind you. If you weren't watching earlier, I picked Donovan Strauss to win the Open. He didn't win. My first ever pick, so not great right there. But I'm hoping Bob Bryant will be a little bit more competitive here. I think Bob Bryant, he comes in here, has nothing to worry about. Being a driver that was formerly in the series, he's the type of guy that's going to take it easy. And as we've seen in the Open already, there's a lot of chaos, a lot of things can happen. Bob's the type of guy, he'll hang around until the end, and maybe some good luck befalls him. So I'm going to go with the old veteran Bob Bryant.
All right, we got a pick for Bob. Allen?
Yeah, I'm going with easy money here, right? Mitchell DeYoung has the reputation. He has the resume when it comes to road courses. He was really good at Road America and sort of surprising, lost to Steven Wilson. But I think he gets it done tonight. Mitchell DeYoung, 2311 Racing. Everything, his reputation, it has to happen tonight, Chicago Street Course. Good job, Mitchell.
Or it could happen for Steven Wilson, who is my pick. Steven Wilson has been bringing me luck this series, so I'm hoping it'll transfer for the All-Star race as well. But there you have it. There's our picks. I can't stop thinking about Duval and how this is really weighing on him. And again, now just to go back into regular racing, how do you do that? What are your final thoughts now that, yes, we're coming down to the All-Star race, but also looking ahead after that for these racers?
Well, look, aggression wins. We saw that. It's won before. It just happened. It was unnecessary, but in this All-Star event, there's a good prize on the line. I think we'll see aggression again, and it will pay off this time if you can take making some enemies.
Well, again, I think it goes back to what we talked about in the pre-race. That mentality, winning at all costs, is starting to become the norm. So I wouldn't be shocked to see it. We saw it in the Open. Don't think it'd be too much different here in the actual All-Star race.
All right, well, we're going to have to see if winning at all costs does work out and who it works out for, because it is time for the All-Star race. I'm going to kick it over to our fellow Canadian, Keenan Kusan, to start the race.
Welcome, everyone, to the 2022 eNASCAR iRacing All-Star Race. For the first time ever, we leave the comfort of the racetrack and take the fight into the streets of the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. Drivers earned their way into tonight's main event by being a race winner or pole sitter in the 2021 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, being a former eNASCAR champion, or fighting their way in through the All-Star Open. Ladies and gentlemen, the time for talk is over. These are your eNASCAR iRacing All-Stars. A powerhouse with an eNASCAR competition. Hailing from Cape Coral, Florida, driving the Joe Gibbs Racing number 51 Toyota, it is four-time Ray Alfala. Straight out of Houston, Texas in the 48 Charlotte Phoenix Toyota, trying to strike out the competition, it is Graham Bolin. From Biloxi, Mississippi, suited and booted for one last time, welcome back for his swan song in eNASCAR, it's Bob Bryant. He can drive anything, but will that pay off in the streets of Chicago? In the number 75 Ford Mustang for Mode Motorsports representing Darien, Illinois, it is Matt Busa. His Mode Motorsports teammate in the number 24 Mustang returning to the All-Star race this year from Myerstown, Pennsylvania, it is Cody Bias. For William Byron Esports, hailing from Concord, North Carolina, and the leader of Clamp Nation in the number 97 Chevrolet, it is Logan Clampett. From the heart of NASCAR country in Concord, North Carolina, a former champion and two-time winner this season in the number 8 Junior Motorsports Chevrolet, Michael Conti. From Temecula, California, but living in Germany, winning in just about everything there is and trying to add All-Star to that list in the number 23-2311 Toyota Camry, it's Mitchell DeYoung. From Winston-Salem, North Carolina, flying the Team Dillon Esports flag in the number 33 Chevrolet, it's Taylor Hurst. Driving the number 95 XZ Chevrolet Camaro out of Matthews, North Carolina, coming off one of the best finishes in eNASCAR history, Kurt Chu, it's points leader Casey Kerwin. Straight from Twitch to your living room with one of the best smiles in sim racing, driving the number 88 Junior Motorsports Chevrolet from Manchester, Tennessee, it's eNASCAR rookie Brian LaPrade. Last year's champion trying to be this year's All-Star, driving the number 45 2311 Toyota Camry from the shores of Halifax, Nova Scotia, it's the weatherman Keegan Leahy. Driving the legendary 21 for Wood Brothers Racing and representing Gastonia, North Carolina. With a win earlier this season, it's Garrett Lowe. Repping the set in the number 4 XZ Chevrolet Camaro from Cypress, Texas, it's 2017 champion flying Ryan Luza. Rise Esports Zone, driving the number 46 Chevrolet out of Midland, North Carolina. Last year's winner and trying to make it two-time, it's Jimmy Mullis. Driving the number 79 Clint Boyer Racing Ford from Revere, Massachusetts, scoring his first ever eNASCAR win in our season opener Daytona, it's Femi Olatunbosun. An eNASCAR veteran 2020 champion trying to add to his 2 wins this season in the number 25 William Byron Esports Chevrolet from Claremont, North Carolina, it's the Audi boss, Nick Ottinger. From Temecula, California, in the number 19 Toyota Camry, trying to take Williams Esports to the winner's circle tonight, it's Vicente Salas. In the number 10 Ford Mustang for Stuart Haas Racing and from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. With newfound confidence in 2 wins this season thus far, it's Steven Wilson. From Fresno, California, driving the Joe Gibbs Racing number 18 Toyota, looking to put his road racing experience to the test, it's Bobby Zelensky. Having survived the brawl of the All-Star Open, these 5 drivers fought their way into tonight's main event on the streets of Chicago. Carrying the number 6 for Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing, trying to translate his real-life experience into a win on the city streets tonight in his Mustang from Rylander, Wisconsin, it's Parker Retzlaff. Translating a strong showing in the contender season to a strong season thus far, the number 15 Jim Beaver Esports Mustang, trying to find victory lane from Houston, Texas tonight, it's Blake Reynolds. In the number 36 Letarte Esports Chevrolet, hailing from North Caldwell, New Jersey, trying to jet into victory lane tonight, it's eNASCAR rookie Dr. Bob Brian Mercurio. Trying to use his iRacing Rallycross experience here tonight in Chicago from Powhatan, Virginia, in the number 31 for Elliott Sadler Esports, it's Garrett Maines. From Sacramento, California, and driving the number 40 Letarte Esports Camaro, taking to the streets of Chicago and taking part in his very first All-Star event, it's rookie Dylan Alt.
In a brawl it was, but we are finally ready to get that much closer to the All-Star feature. Coming up first, the heat race, as we get set to get our first look at your full field and we take a look at your Coca-Cola starting grid. Best driver on a 2-lap average is Mitchell DeYoung from 2311 Racing. He'll bring us to the green flag alongside the Charlotte Phoenix number 48 of Graham Bolin. Back on row number 2, Bobby Zelensky and his Joe Gibbs Racing number 18 machine will start alongside Michael Conti in the Junior Motorsports 8. Row number 3 going to start with the 5th place starter, Parker Retzlaff at the RFK Racing number 6, alongside the number 15 of Blake Reynolds for Jim Beaver Esports. Back in row 4, Matt Busa and his Mode Motorsports 75 will start alongside the Stuart Haas Esports number 10 of Steven Wilson. And back on row 5, 9th position goes to the 2nd of the Team Dillon Chevrolets. That's Taylor Hurst in the number 33 car, alongside the Letarte Esports 36 of Brian Mercurio P10.
Starting in 11th will be Cody Bias from Mode Motorsports, and Bob Bryant will be starting in 12th. He does not represent a team out here. Again, a driver that has not competed in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola competition this season. Vicente Salas, the final driver to put down a time in 13th. And then the following drivers, Evan, like you mentioned, this is a 2-lap average, so you imagine they probably encountered an incident point, scraped the wall or something. They did not put down a qualifying time. 14th for XZ Gaming is Casey Kerwin. And then, of course, you have a couple of our open drivers mixed in as well. Garrett Maines did not make a time, neither did Nick Ottinger. Ray Alfala for Joe Gibbs Racing, not able to put down a time, as well as the 46 for Rise Esports and Jimmy Mullis. Garrett Lowe will start in 19th for the Wood Brothers. 20th will be Keegan Leahy for 23.11. And your back row will be two rookies, Junior Motorsports' own Brian LaPrade and Dylan Alt for Latar Esports.
Well, we've talked a lot about mistakes tonight, and with the 2-lap average, only about 13 of the 22 cars able to get 2 clean laps in a row. That's a little bit over a 50% success rate, but the driver who was best of them all was Mitchell DeYoung with a 2-lap average of a 1:26.183. He's on pole, and James Pike has got him dialed up on the radio.
I do have the 2311 driver, and Mitchell, given your experience with so many different road courses and so many different cars in iRacing, when you think of the Chicago street course, what stands out to you about this circuit in particular?
Damage, that's going to be the key. Luckily we did that in qualifying already, not to invalidate the lap, so hopefully we can do that for another 8 more and then another 16 more ideally in the final.
Any strategy that you have based upon what you saw in the open race? Anything in particular that may have changed based off that, or are we just same old here?
I'll be honest, I didn't actually watch it because I was practicing qualifying, but I imagine it's going to be, you know, we just go as fast as we can here. I think we just go for the win. I know there's an invert coming up for the feature, but, you know, we just race hard, and hopefully in the final we can get ourselves where we need to be if we finish this race well.
Certainly one of the favorites to be a front runner and potentially win this All-Star race is Mitchell DeYoung.
Well, we learned very quickly in the open as well that track position is very key, and the Young's got a whole lot of that from the front row of this Wood Blake. A big takeaway for this heat race is an invert that will affect the feature. We'll flip around the top 8.
Well, exactly, Evan, and if you've ever, been out to your local short track on a Saturday night, every once in a while you'll see some drivers that aren't able to get the win. They'll kind of play the invert a little bit. They'll start falling back. Interested to see here. I know there's tight confines here. It's hard to go too wide throughout this course, but I wonder if you're running 5th, 6th, 7th, maybe that last lap, maybe you just take it real easy and maybe fall back into that where maybe you'll be on the front row when we get this thing rolling.
We'll see how they strike a balance as we get set to start off the feature part of the night with the All-Star Heat Race. Pace car going to pull off and away, and Mitchell DeYoung going to have the inside in that tricky run down to turn number 1. Green flag in the air. We're racing for the Heat Race in Chicago. DeYoung is clear for first. Here comes the challenge for second. Do they make it through turn 1?
Ooh. Looks like Leahy didn't. He scrapes the wall. Maines tried to throw it up the middle 4 wide, but they somehow keep it rolling. Casey Kerwin was almost involved in that as well, but it looks like so far so good through the opening set of corners.
A little bit of contact, but so far so good. About twice as many cars in this feature, Alan, as what we saw in the Open. So the lack of real estate has only been amplified as we move to this heat race.
Yeah, and you can see it through these tight corners, just trying to get a pass, trying to do whatever you can. We're looking, that was Garrett Maines we were seeing there. We know he has experience. We know he will be a little aggressive as he tries to move his way through the field after advancing from the Open. But look, I think those 12 laps in the Open, they will pay off for some of these drivers as we go around the field and up front. Track position, meaning everything out here. Look at Mitchell DeYoung just driving away. That's why it's a little interesting. He said he didn't watch the Open. Maybe he should have in terms of knowing how vital the track position will be for the feature, because if he wins this, he's got to start in 8th, and getting from 8th to 1st is going to be tough. This is a tight track. This is tough to pass because you have to pick your opportunities. I think we learned so much in the Open. Maybe Mitchell should have been watching that, guys.
He's certainly fast. There's no doubt in that. At the end of lap number 1, he's going to open up a 1.3 second advantage for the race lead. We saw no advantage of that margin at any point in that open race. As we jump back and take a look at Bob Bryant, who in the midfield here has got a lot going on in front of him, trying to get to the inside of Hurst. With a 33 going to protect the inside, 3 wide behind, and who else but Garrett Maines, 3 wide on the inside. Blake takes 2 spots in 1 swing of the bat.
Well, that's the benefit of being aggressive, right? If you can make it work, it's great. It's wonderful. You make up a ton of spots as you right along there. You can see Bob Bryant was on the outside of that. Didn't quite make that work as he's trying to, I'm sure, get caught back up to Coke Series speed here in these opening couple of laps. One car spun around in the back. I believe that was Dylan Alt who went around as he'll try to get the nose of his car pointed in the right direction.
And those self-inflicted errors going to start to stack up a little bit. Again, there's no magic spot to look for, right? Everybody in the midfield going to try to get themselves closer to about number 9. But remember, that top 8 invert means that the drivers 5 through 8, not the worst of spots. We'll see just how aggressive they really want to be to get out ahead of this. You're looking off at the back of Casey Kerwin in 10th spot. He's one of your bigger movers in the field, up 4 positions early in this one and trying to stay ahead of the likes of Brian Abacurio, Taylor Hurst, and Garrett Maines behind. And for all of the strong words that we saw after the Open, Garrett Maines clearly has not been swayed because Alan, he is one of the most aggressive drivers early in this race, diving to the inside on Taylor Hurst, and the 31 takes another spot away.
Yeah, maybe it was the best strategy because the person that Garrett pissed off, Dylan Duval, I mean, he did it so well that he's not in the race anymore, right? So at least in this race, there's no one seeking revenge on Garrett Maines right now, and we're seeing, again, the aggression pay off. I mean, he's not that far out of 8th place. You finish 8th in this race, suddenly you're on the pole for the feature. So that's going to be interesting if Garrett can keep doing that, and you wonder how much of that experience from the Open is really paying off, because those first few laps for Garrett Maines weren't the best, but as that race went on, he got better and better getting, around these technical turns, staying off the wall. That kind of stuff is going to be so important, especially if he can get up to this 8th place spot and see what he can do in the feature. But he's got to get there first. But the aggression is paying off as he goes, pass by pass and position by position. God, and just seeing this view out the car like this, and you just notice how tight it is around all these corners. It's impressive you make any pass, honestly.
The onboard view that we see here, I think, is second only, Blake, to the GoPro view that he's got strapped on his head that you guys were able to take a look at in Countdown to Green. I think that's probably the best camera in sim racing from his perspective, using the triple monitors and with a little bit of work to do. But again, Garrett's going to be aggressive. He's got confidence, and he's really fast. Remember, the only reason he started back into 15th was he didn't get 2 clean laps in. You heard this referenced in the Open, but any wall contact removes your qualifying lap from eligibility. And because qualifying for this feature race, and of course the heat happening now, was 2-lap average, you needed 2 clean laps. We're probably not going to see 2 consecutive clean laps in any of these races, so that's why qualifying was such a struggle and why some of the faster cars may be stuck back in traffic trying to make some moves.
Well, and I think one of them, Evan, is Casey Kerwin, who, if you know Casey Kerwin, he loves street course racing. I don't think there's someone in the history of iRacing who has more wins in any type of vehicle at Long Beach. He loves that course, so no shocker to see him. Started in 14th, wasn't able to get that qualifying lap down, but has moved forward into the 9th position. No shock to see him do well. He has a lot of experience with street course racing and all different types of cars, and I think Chicago translates pretty well from Long Beach. I mean, the tight corners, you have these long sweeping corners as well, heavy braking zones as you often do at street courses, but this is kind of right up his alley and might even move right up into that invert to where maybe he might be on the pole in a couple laps.
He's 1 spot away from cracking the invert. He sits in 9th, so we'll see how that plays out. Let's see what happened to Bob Bryant in the run down what looks like maybe to turn number 1. We'll see. No, the right-hander. So a little bit further on down the racetrack here. Hard braking zone to the bottom. Here comes the challenge for the 19, and I don't think they touched. I think that dive to the bottom from Vicente just caught him off, Alan. He tried to get in a little bit deeper, but I mean, that's the second car we've seen tonight get into the tires in that same spot, and he really did a lot of damage to that car.
Just a reminder of how narrow it is. I mean, you can't go too wide. I mean, when you can't go too wide, it makes it really tough to race the racetrack, or at least put yourself in a position to get past or try to defend a pass, essentially, right? If you find yourself on the outside, it's nothing the car on the inside's doing. You have to let that pass go and survive to the next corner, because if you don't, what's going to happen is what we just saw to Bob Bryant. A nice welcome back to the series, unfortunately, for Bob.
Tough break for him. I think that was turn 4 where that ended up happening. I mean, we've seen drivers struggle to go too wide there through on the pace lap, let alone at full race speed. But Blake, we've referenced a couple of times, is there a bit of an advantage to the drivers who raced in that open? Obviously, everybody's had, single car time on this track, right? Hot lapping on your own, but hot lapping at a street course, very different than racing in traffic, right? It can be really fun, really challenging on its own, but when you're out there with other cars, it's tricky, right? You really don't know where you can pass, how it's going to be in a line, and I think that's maybe where those open drivers can find the advantage as we take a second perspective of this. Bryant on the outside to the inside, and they never touched, but you saw the smoke. He definitely locked it up, maybe caught off guard by that late dive, and it was the tires in turn 4 that got him.
And a very good observation there that they did not touch, but if Bryant were to move lower to where he wasn't going to hit the wall, I think they would have. So that, again, that's another note that these drivers are making, that if you're going to go into turn 4 side by side, I mean, there's barely enough room if you angle into that corner, especially with kind of the angle of that wall. It kind of curves out at you, makes it a little tougher if you're that car on the outside to even make the corner at all. So they didn't touch right there, but if Bryant was going to move further down, I think they would have made contact, and he still would have hit the wall.
It's such an unnatural feeling for these drivers, right, to just give up the spot and let someone complete that pass, but you have to survive into the next corner, especially in the corner like turn 4. We're getting a good view of the leader here, but it's so unnatural to let that spot go, but it would have benefited Bob Bryant there if he just let that pass go and survived until the next lap. What's interesting, I look at the top 3 right now, and you just go back to Road America, right? And you see that the 3 drivers leading this race right now, we're all in the top 5 at Road America. These road course skills are translating here to the Chicago street course. So it's no surprise we have this top 3. It's just a matter of which one will ultimately be on top. Mitchell will be putting on a show right now.
And all previous road course winners as well in this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. Dropping a bit back from those top 3, you can see Matt Busa in the number 75 machine, the Mud Motorsports Ford. The team, of course, headed by Kyle Long. Right in the middle of a sandwich. Up the road is the 10 of Steven Wilson. Behind him is Casey Kerwin. And again, with that invert, Busa stands to invert himself to pole position for the feature race. So Casey Kerwin, this is really not only a battle for 1 position, Blake, it's a battle for 9 spots.
And Busa going to try to do everything he can to hang on. If you're Kerwin, I mean, you got to get it now. You have the pole sitting right in front of you right now. So Busa, you can see how much he's looking in the mirror right now. You can see his eyes looking up, viewing as much as Casey Kerwin can, because, again, you can race very defensively at this street course. You can put your car in a lot of positions to make it difficult on that driver, but might end up like what we saw with Garrett Maines and Dylan Duvall a little earlier.
And of course, the hometown driver in the field for this one, just about a 20-minute drive down the road from downtown Chicago, is Matt Busa at Darien, Illinois, in one of the Mode Motorsports entries. Obviously, as well, wanting to represent good, but that is a huge shot from Kerwin, and Busa was full lock in turn 12. White flag in the air, final time around in Chicago.
I think it helped him.
And the focus here is that spot right there. This race between the 75 and the 95, 2 winners, 2 drivers that are known to be there at the end of the race. Be aggressive. That's how you win races. This is essentially a win, right? To be the 8th spot in this race is essentially a win because you get a great starting spot in the feature. So this is a big deal here. The difference between starting 1st and 9th in the feature.
Up front, still no challenge for Mitchell DeYoung. He's some 2 seconds ahead. All eyes on the battle for the number 8 position. Kerwin still looking down the back straightaway to the left-hander, turn number 6. Here he comes to the inside. Busa gonna hang tough up top. This fight is not done. And look out, here comes Garrett Maines watching on from P10. They all touch.
Maines got in the back of Kerwin, who got into the back of Busa, but I think Busa has enough of an advantage. You can see about a car length and a half. That might be enough, unless Kerwin can get him here in turn 10.
Final handful of corners up front. Mitchell DeYoung takes home the checkered flag. He'll win the heat race, but what happens behind in the battle for 8th? Curran to the inside. Busa stays up top. A slight bit of contact, but it will not be enough. And Matt Busa, great defensive driving, hangs on to a coveted P8.
What a race.
Who'd have thought P8 would be the most exciting battle on track, but the invert had them going hard. And as you take a look at your Coca-Cola full race results for tonight's heat race, how about an all-Toyota podium? DeYoung leads the top. Graham Bolin and Bobby Zelensky first, second, and third. No shock that those guys are fast, but how about Michael Conti and Parker Retzlaff inside of the top 5, Blake?
Yeah, very good run for Conti, who you don't often think of him as a road course ace, so very nicely done. How about Parker Retzlaff, though, coming up from the Open, even in the NASCAR Cup Series? Not often that you see somebody really charge up through the Open and really dominate, but had a solid qualifying effort and kept it up front, so nice finish there out of the Open for Parker Retzlaff.
Couple of drivers trickle down here. Incidents for Garrett Lowe and some others take he and Bob Bryant down into the 20s. That's a look top to bottom at your Coca-Cola full race results for tonight's heat race. And now we know the starting order in which we will go feature racing next on the streets of Chicago. We've raced ourselves through the Open. We've raced ourselves through the heat race. And now it is time for the eNASCAR Chicago All-Star Street Race with the 22 fastest drivers in the series getting set to do battle on the pavement, and courtesy of that invert, Matt Busa worked for that pole position, and he will start on first alongside Steven Wilson now in second. Blake Reynolds in his Jim Beaver Esports number 15 machine will start alongside the Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing Ford of Parker Retzlaff. Michael Conti and Bobby Zelensky representing Junior Motorsports and Joe Gibbs Racing respectfully will end up on row 3.
You see a little further back right there, just on the outside of that invert, you see Graham Bolin and Mitchell DeYoung, your heat winner starting in row number 5. Casey Kerwin just missed out on getting pole. He'll start 9th next to Garrett Maines, and then Nick Ottinger and Vicente Salas rounds out your top 12, Alan.
Yeah, Brian Mercurio, Taylor Hurst in row 7, Jimmy Mullis, Cody Bias in row 8, Ray Alfalla making something of a comeback, starting next to Keegan Leahy, last year's champ who struggled in that first corner. Briar LaPrade, Dylan Alt in row 10, Bob Bryant, the comeback kid, starting in row 11. Maybe he can have a bebetter day starting next to Garrett Lowe back there. But look who's on the front row, guys. I think there must be some collusion with Camille, because look what happened. The only winner at a road course this year, or the previous one, Steven Wilson, on the front row. I think he could drive away with this. We know he's got the skills, and now he's on the front row. What a situation.
Funny how that works, right? The talented and fast drivers, no matter what the format, they are always going to find their way towards the front. And there is no more bubble. There is no more invert. We are ready to go racing, Blake. 16 laps on deck for this feature race.
Certainly so, Evan, as we take a look at our ASUS race analysis here for this all-star race. 16 laps. We will have a competition caution on lap 11. You can see right there down to the main race, 16 laps. We will have a comp yellow on lap 11 to settle things out. And, of course, Evan, that creates a lot of strategy. Do you take tires? Do you take fuel if you're further back in the field? A lot can happen with that competition yellow, and then that'll set up a 3-lap dash to the finish. It'll be pretty exciting.
I think grouping them up as well, Alan's going to give some of those midfield drivers a chance, right? You can focus on getting maybe a couple of spots early, and then you'll get another look in the second half.
Well, all that work that Mitchell DeYoung did winning that race, look who's starting behind him, the ever-aggressive Garrett Maines. So, I mean, I'm more wondering what could happen in these first few laps, because you got to be aggressive. The restarts are the best places to make up positions, especially early. We know at least one other restart is coming, so if there's only 2 great opportunities, you got to do it now. And you have Garrett Maines starting behind Mitchell DeYoung, and Mitchell's going to have to be aggressive himself right away. and not get too much damage, but also make sure you get the positions you need right away at the start, because they're going to be hard to come by coming from 8th. So both in front and behind, it's going to be a challenge for these cars in the middle.
It's time to go feature racing. Matt Busa in control as we say, let's go street racing in Chicago. High speed, then high braking zone into turn number 1, side by side from 4th on back. Most of them make it through, and Busa's got the lead to turn 2.
Oh, a big move there further on back. Michael Conti tried to make a move up the inside on Bobby Zielinski, not quite able to get it done. As they start their trek towards turn 3, still full on the gas. Turn 4, though, a lot of contact further on back in the field. Someone's going to hit that wall. It is Taylor Hurst, but he escapes with just a couple of positions lost out of that.
Well, we were on board with it, but Maines and Bolin went side by side through 4. First time we've seen that all night long, so we're quickly learning where those tricky corners are going to be, and Maines finally shakes off Bolin as they go down through the left-hand corner in turn number 6. Right-hander 7, a bit of a touchback, payback from Bolin, but Maines handles his shot fine. 31 car up a spot into the number 9 position.
We know Maines has speed, and what I'm really interested in is to see who follows Mitchell DeYoung through the field, because that may be the smartest strategy if you want to get through there clean. Let Mitchell do all the work. We know he's got the car. We know he's got the skills. If you can stay on his bumper, maybe you can work your way through the field. Now as we look toward the front, I'm telling you, Steven Wilson is going to be hunting like Jaws here to get this victory and get the lead as early as possible. Maybe even making, he looked on the left-hander as we make that first turn, but I really think he's got the shot here.
He flashed the nose, thought about it, had a couple of peeks as well on lap number 1, but Busa able to defend all of it thus far. And now side by side for 3rd behind, it's Parker Retzlaff coming up the inside of Bobby Zielinski. It's going to get real tight, though, when they get to turn number 4. And Zielinski's learned that's not a place to challenge tonight. Tucks in line, thought about a crossover through 5, but doesn't go for it. And another position gained as Parker Retzlaff cracks the top 3.
You know, Parker Retzlaff being very impressive here. And, you know, Evan, one thing coming into this race is typically we have open setup racing. These drivers are allowed to make setup changes and tweaks. And, you know, typically with that, we see a lot of teams that are able to kind of find that speed edges. Bolin got hard into the brakes going into turn 7. Gets by Garrett Maines with a lot of contact. Again, I tell you what, I hope you're not playing a game where every time we say Garrett Maines, you take a sip of Coca-Cola, because I don't know if you'd have any left right now, but he's been a big focus of us tonight.
A big focus. He's been in all the storylines, but the one undeniable fact is he's fast and he drives that car 110% lap by lap. 2 laps down, still 14 to go on the streets of Chicago. Busa's led the opening 2 thus far, and in fact, those top 2 pulling away from the action that we're watching here. It's Conti a little bit sideways off of turn number 1. That's going to allow Mitchell DeYoung to close the gap up. Remember, Mitchell DeYoung waxed the field in that heat race, pulled way out to a 2+ second advantage for the win, but the invert got him kicked back to P8. He's already made up a single spot, passing Graham Bolin a little bit earlier. And Conti completely misses turn 4, and he will take Mitchell DeYoung with him.
And that was self-inflicted. He just flat out missed it. No contact. Got really loose into turn 4 and just lost it.
So 2 of the fastest cars gone in the blink of an eye, and up at the front of the field, Wilson pouncing for the race lead, trying to get to Matt Busa. He'll give him a shot into turn number 8. Now they'll swing through the sweeping left-hander through Congress Plaza Drive, right-hand turn number 10, then 2 more 90-degree corners right here, 11. They're going to go up and then down the hill, hard braking zone into 12, and then back to the start-finish straight, and that advantage for the top 2 guys quickly being erased. They had pulled 2 seconds ahead of everybody else, but last lap, Bobby Zielinski was able to get around Parker Retzlaff, and now he is breathing down their necks. He was the fastest car on track last lap. And
here's the replay of what we saw happen to Conti. Just missed the turn. missed the turn on his own. First time we've seen that throughout the night, but also collecting Mitchell DeYoung. And here's another battle for the lead. Steven Wilson just waiting on a mistake from Matt Busa, trying to go on the outside. Not much room out there. That's the first mistake we've seen Steven Wilson really make throughout the night. Taps the wall. And now we see what happens. Steven Wilson still there, sitting in second, waiting on Busa to make a mistake. These little mistakes on such a small, thin track are really just exploiting themselves, if you will, because one little mistake leads to a position loss or even something worse.
That's where all that nose flashing comes in, right, Blake? I mean, you're sticking a nose out. We've seen so many drivers make it look like they're going to go up the inside of somebody and then don't. They're just trying to plant that seed of doubt and distract the driver in front of them. If they're spending time and looking in the rear view, thinking about, is this guy behind me going to drive up my inside? They're not focusing on hitting their braking point, and you got to wonder, DeYoung was quick. He was pressuring Conti. Did he distract him a little bit there? That's going to be happening in all of these battles. Of course, if you're enjoying the action tonight and want to stay up to date with the latest news and updates from the world of eNASCAR, then sign up today by scanning the QR code in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen and stay up to date with iRacing, the official simulation partner of NASCAR. As you see the entry of Garrett Maines under attack from Vicente Salas, unable to find a way through. They're going to continue to battle that group some 5 seconds off of the race lead, where some of the best stuff continues to be on track. Matt Busa doing everything he can to hang on to the race lead in this one, but I continue to look at the lap times, guys, and there's only about 4 or 5 drivers down in the 126s, and consistently the fastest of them all is Bobby Z. Zelensky in third, the fastest car on track, and a spinner behind. That's trouble for Jimmy Mullis, who is running in 12th.
Again, another self-spin, no contact. He's able to roll and doesn't even damage his car. So he was spun in a really precarious spot right there. And Evan, that's one thing that I've just really thought about watching this race is what this is going to be like in real life for these spotters. How many spotters you're going to have around this racetrack, not only to call out wrecks, but the line of vision. There's so many buildings, there's trees, there's just so many blocked off parts where you can only see small sections of the track at one given time. So I can only think, even for these virtual spotters, you can get in the sim and have a little far chase view on it, so you're not going to have to worry about it. But in real life, it's going to be really tough.
It is, and we don't even know where to look, Alan. What do you like in the battle for the race lead? Left-hand side, the battle for 8th behind. I mean, everywhere you look in the field, somebody is putting the moves on somebody else.
This is the best racing we've seen all night, especially for the lead. Bobby Zelensky is also lurking, but I'm telling you, you can see it, that Steven Wilson has the faster car with the 10, but he's got to be perfect. He has to wait for Matt Busa to make a mistake because the position is so important here on the track. And then we see another battle, the race for 5th on the right of your screen. 3 cars, again, waiting on someone to make a mistake. You force that mistake. What can you do? Can you be patient and see the 95 trying to make this pass? 15 given a lot of room there. We haven't seen a lot of drivers doing the give and take, but that's been the smarter approach. Again, another battle for the lead. 3-way battle for the lead, Evan.
And it might continue to close in. If these leaders hold each other up, Parker Retzlaff is not that far behind either. The 6 wants to join the fun and make it a 4-way battle for the race lead. More than halfway towards that comp yellow, which will come around lap number 11. Right now, going to come to the end of lap number 6 of 16. In this all-star feature race, Busa has led every single lap thus far and has made probably the least amount of mistakes out of anybody tonight. He's been pretty rock solid despite all of the pressure coming from behind. And now the 3-box race lead on the right-hand side, and both the battle for 5th and the battle for 8th on the left is Garrett Maines, who has been the aggressor for most of the evening, is now dealing with the inverse. It's pressure from behind courtesy of Salas.
And Salas looked to get a pretty good run there off of turn number 2, which will help down this long straightaway. Looks like Maines is going to be able to cover it, though. You can see these cars they're so similar in speed, right? And you just have to hope that those drivers in front of you make a mistake, or that you have to be bold. You have to be willing to get aggressive, get all the way out to the wall, really be aggressive under braking. And this is really going to be a great challenge for these drivers, that you really have to be willing to take those risks to go above and beyond to create that speed to try to create these passes.
we'll see the aggression amp up as the laps wind down. Right now, there's no reason for Steven Wilson to be ultra aggressive, right? Wait on Matt Bussa to make a mistake, then make the pass. But to be ultra aggressive at this point, it won't pay off anything. If anything, you just make an enemy in Matt Bussa if he's still in the race after such a move like that. So Wilson just needs to bide his time. I think, again, he clearly has the faster car, but for the first time, we're seeing more pressure from behind. And that's what's going to create some of these odd scenarios, is if Bobby Zalinski is really pressuring Wilson, how long can he wait to make a move on Matt Bussa? Does it have to happen before the competition caution? That's what we have to wait and see, and we're seeing it play out right now because it's going to be a 4-car race pretty soon.
He really doesn't want to go further back than second, right? Third would put him on the second row for a restart, James. That could make things difficult for him.
Could potentially, as we'll slide a little bit further back and get a good look at Brian Mercurio's machine, the New Jersey native carrying the colors of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, which arrived in the spring. College-age students got the chance to compete at Daytona, Charlotte, and Las Vegas to win some scholarship money. That returns September 20th at Homestead Miami Speedway. If you're looking at your calendars, that's in between the Coke Series playoff races at Bristol and Talladega. But there's a time attack available in the iRacing UI for college-age students to take a crack at from September 6th to 15th, and the 40 fastest drivers from that time attack will advance to the first feature race at Homestead Miami Speedway, our first race of the fall for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by NASCAR League. That broadcast you'll see here on iRacing's channels at 8 p.m. Tuesday, September 20th.
It's a good-looking race car, and I'll tell you what, a fun tie-in back at the Watkins Glen race in the College Series back earlier this year in April. Your pole sitter, Steven Wilson. He knows a thing or two about road course racing, no matter what the stock car platform it is on the service. And that same Steven Wilson running second in the field here. But here comes Bobby Zalinski. Late dive somehow. They keep it off each other. Wilson using every single inch. Zalinski aggressive, but didn't cross the line. And what an attempt and what a piece of defending from the 10 car.
I mean, Steven Wilson locked up into turn 2 and somehow came out better. I mean, that's how well he defended that. And that's what I love about this racing, though, is that, defensive driving and how you can defend makes such a big difference as well. You can make it very difficult on that attacking driver. Zalinski has the speed, but he just hasn't been able to find a way around Steven Wilson just yet.
And Matt Bussa isn't pulling away from either of these challengers. That's what really tells me that the winner of this 10-18 battle that we're seeing so close right now, side by side for second place, should ultimately be the winner of the. Ooh, Bobby Zalinski getting a little piece of that wall, losing that battle. Again, I was talking about being aggressive too early. How important is this position right now? Do you want to take yourself out of the race? That's what has to be going through the minds of these drivers.
There's a look at both of them on the left-hand side of your screen. Again, the implications here is where you'll, in theory, restart, right? I mean, some pit strategy could be a factor, but assuming that nothing changes the running order there, if you're second, you're going to be alongside Bussa. Would you rather be next to the control car, or would you rather be in third, lined up behind him, right? I mean, it could end up being a wash. You could end up side by side with each other, back down the one anyways, but that restart may define who ends up taking home the win here in this All-Star Street Race and who doesn't. But I'm going to give us credit to Matt Bussa. He has not put a foot wrong. They have been on his heels, and they have looked to the inside. They have tried. I promise if there was an opening there, they would have pounced on it. But Bussa has driven a perfect defensive race from the race lead. And the big question will be, can that Mode Motorsports Ford Mustang hang on into the second half as they are running out of time, about a lap and change before we see that comp yellow. Casey Kerwin, guys, not counting him out, up 5 positions. He's your second biggest mover in the field, and he is right behind this trio in fourth. Retzlaff, who was once in fourth, has slid all the way down to P6 in the running order.
Again, Kerwin showing that street racing acumen right now. Keegan Leahy had a spin, and he had to take his car to pit road. They do have a fast repair in the back pocket. So Mitchell DeYoung back on the racetrack. His car's been fully repaired. That's the only one that they get in this race. So DeYoung and the like, they were able to come down pit and likely not going to lose a lap. So they have a chance to get back in it, but they'll essentially start this race in 17th or 18th, Evan. So they're essentially out of it, but a great battle going on up here. But yeah, Kerwin is on the march to the front of the field. He was better than Matt Bussa a half second that last lap.
It's been impressive stuff. And of all of these drivers, worth noting that both of those guys that we saw were using open wheel Formula rims and 1 lap shy of the competition yellow. We do have pit service. Vicente Salas and Parker Retzlaff, both down pit road. I haven't seen a ton of fall off in terms of best laps and last laps. In fact, Steven Wilson's best lap of the race, Alan, was his last. So there's not a ton of fall off here, but a couple of drivers down to pit road.
Hey, if you're not going to, if it doesn't feel like you're going, oh, battle for the lead here. Finally, Steven Wilson making the move, squeezing Matt Bussa onto the wall, but driving away. I think we see Steven Wilson drive away here because of the speed we've seen throughout this race, right before the competition caution is set to come out. But you never know that strategy that we just saw out of Parker Retzlaff. You have to start thinking about that. If you're not going to beat these top 3 on the track, you got to think of some way to do it. Perhaps that's with pit strategy.
And there's no doubt that he felt the pressure coming from behind, and there is your competition caution. So the pass for the race lead came just in the nick of time, coming to the end of lap number 11, and Steven Wilson indeed able to go to the lead. Blake, he made that move from 2 car lengths back, and he decided that he was going to clear Matt Bussa. We've seen them go side by side down into that same corner a handful of times in this race in turn 6, and they've left each other room. He decided that he was clear. He went right out to the wall. He didn't even look, and ended up squeezing Matt Bussa out a little bit. So Wilson knew that he had to get the job done before the end of the lap, and it's well timed because he's sitting pretty as they catch up to the pace car.
And as we saw in that last restart, not only did he, I kind of agree with you, Evan, there, he kind of made sure that he was going to be the leader off of that corner. But these restarts, you're going through turn 12 in the middle of the restart zone. So if you're the leader and you get a great launch, the rest of the field, they're still turning. They're still trying to get going. So it's a big advantage to be the leader. So Steven Wilson, well done right there. It's going to help him a lot when we get this race back going. Here's the pass once again for it.
We saw it happen live, Alan. 2 car lengths back, but he goes to the inside. He gets there, but then watch this. He's going to go right to the outside wall. He does not care that Matt Bussa is still there. Steven Wilson decided he was going to be the race leader off of 6.
At some point, we've been talking about timing. When is the right time? Early on in the race, no need to be that aggressive. But now, with 5 laps to go, coming to the competition caution, you got to be more aggressive, and we saw that out of Steven Wilson. It wasn't dirty. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary, but aggressive moves had to be made, and it paid off. He's got the lead. He's got the control of the restart with 5 laps to go for this all-star win. Exactly the position he wants to be in. Perfect night for him so far.
And of course, we've been watching how the invert has played out. Blake, remember 8th position was your, of course, winner from the heat race, but eventually Young take it out at an accident with Michael Conti. But we've seen all those invert cars get up there, right? Zelensky started 6th, he's up to 3rd. Bolin started in 7th, he's up to 5th. So those drivers who took the negative end of the invert have raced their way into the top 5. We knew that Kerwin had speed, right? He just missed that invert, was forced to start 9th in this feature. He's driven up 5 positions to 4th, so there's a lot of speed, Alan, off of the front row of this race.
Yeah, and fortunately we can check in with Matt Bussa right before we go back to green. Matt, I appreciate you joining us live during this race, because for the first time you have a different view in this feature, just getting passed by Steven Wilson. What was he able to do there?
Yeah, he's just braking way deeper into the corner than I am. I had almost no practice before this, and I really don't quite know the limit for the braking zone, so having a lead there in a way was almost a disadvantage because I couldn't see where other people were braking, and it's even at this point it's kind of hard for me to push my braking zone. Typically, even with the fixed setup, you can mess around with your master cylinders for braking and adjust those to your liking, and I didn't have time to do that and see at this track what suits me best. But yeah, we'll do the best with what we got here, and hopefully we can take the fight back to him and learn off him too.
Yeah, you have to learn how aggressive are you willing to be in an all-star event?
Yeah, I mean nothing really on the line for points as far as the championship goes, so you just gotta give it your all. I'm always gonna try to race clean though, so not just gonna like completely door slam him out of the way. We'll try to put up a good fight here.
All right, Matt Bussa, I appreciate you joining us, especially with so much on the line, going from 2nd place inside or on the front row for this restart. Appreciate it.
Well, now, guys, we reached the point of the race where we ask ourselves, is it worth it, right? There was a bit of drama headed out of the open race. Of course, there's some NASCAR tickets and passes on the line to the race winner. But, Blake, you're the driver. It is an exhibition, but you do have to race with these guys for the rest of the year, some of which you'll be fighting for the better part of $300,000 against. So where is that line, and how bad do you want it?
You have to think about that a lot, Evan. When you look at your top four, you have, or when you really look at your top 8 right here, you have a lot of guys who are pretty much locked into the playoffs. Steven Wilson, a handful of wins. Matt Boosa's got a win. Kerwin, Bolin, they all have wins. So you don't want to upset them, and you even don't want to upset Bobby Zielinski. He's somebody that, again, so capable on these road courses, he could be a part of the playoff picture. So, again, you just got to balance. How bad do you want the experience, the prize, and how much are you maybe looking at a bigger prize, which would be $100,000 at the end of this season potentially. So short-term game or long-term game, you got to decide which one you want to play right now. But I tell you, racers, it's hard to convince them not to take the short-term game right here.
I'll tell you what, whoever walks away with it, they'll laugh off into the sunset with that NASCAR driving experience. And a lot of these names could be up front fighting for the race win when we go points racing at Watkins Glen in just 2 weeks' time. This time by, pace car will bow out of the way. We will have 4 laps to go on the streets of Chicago. Winner take all. Great restart for Steven Wilson. He'll pull 4 car lengths of an advantage down to 1. Busa still in second. Here comes Zielinski forcing his way through to second.
Yeah, we're seeing Matt Busa having to learn on the fly here. And look, he kept the lead for as long as he can, but the real race throughout this feature had been between Steven Wilson and Bobby Zielinski. 2 winners on road courses, winners here in the Coke Series. So what can Bobby Zielinski do now? That's going to be the fun part of this race with just 3 laps to go, because Steven Wilson is in the position that he earned, probably has the fastest car. What is Zielinski going to do with that green machine? Because the fight between them has been the real fight for this race, I believe, all night.
And that late pass for the lead was big because Busa really got eaten up on that one. Not only did Zielinski get through, but so did Casey Kerwin. So Busa, who led the opening 10 laps of this race, falls down to 4th. Busa's into the wall behind this battle for the race lead. He'll lose 2 more positions. So as he struggles, here comes Bobby Zielinski. He has at times tonight been 0.6 faster than anybody else in the top 5. Catching him is one thing, Blake, but finding a way through is another. Popsicle 6 in the year this time, looking to 2 laps to go.
Now this is going to be a great 3-way battle to the end right here, Evan. Zielinski, I think, is just slightly better than Wilson. Wilson, again, a little bit of clean air here. That is going to help a little bit, but if you're close enough, we've seen so many aggressive moves. All you have to do is outbrake them and pray you're there. We'll see what Zielinski looks to do off of turn 2. Wilson's going to get the run off, but I think Zielinski, he might be willing to try to send it here.
And I'm sure both of their respective teams, Alan, hope that this is how well they do next year in the Cup Series race. Zielinski representing Joe Gibbs Racing, Wilson representing Stewart Haas Racing. It's going to come down to a battle between 2 drivers representing Cup Series juggernauts, and that was a couple of good corners in favor of Steven Wilson.
Absolutely, and this is kind of the battle that we were seeing with Busa and Wilson before. Wilson maybe having the better car, but it's tough to get around the leader if they're being mistake-free. Same thing we're seeing with Zielinski right now. There's more speed, we see him close up, but without Wilson making a mistake or Zielinski forcing a mistake out of Wilson, and time is running out, it's going to be tough for Zielinski to make this pass on his own. Will the mistake happen here? We are running out of time coming to the white flag.
And you can see the wheel inputs much more aggressive. Bobby has that determined look on his face. Steven Wilson looks way more calm than I could ever be if I had the 18 machine behind him. But this one's going to come down to the final 2.14 miles. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go.
How much ground has Zielinski made up? Because you really want to be able to try to make that pass off of turn 5. You want to be within a car length there, able to make up some ground in the braking zones. But Wilson, nice job off the corner, holds his own for now.
Kerwin watches on from 3rd, Alan. That's not somebody to discredit in case your top 2 get together. We saw this 2 weeks ago.
got to go full send. That dangerous turn 4 right there. Running out of turns here as Bobby Zalinski comes off the corner at turn 5, trying to chase Wilson down. That gap, still a lot to manage. It's going to come down to braking on these narrow sections. How much is Zalinski willing to do? Again, an all-star event, nothing to lose. How far will he be willing to go?
And is he close enough? Should he want to put the bumper to him? 2 car lengths is the difference as they head to turn number 8.
One more chance here, Zalinski. He's got to get onto the brakes hard and give himself a chance in turns 10 and 11. He's close enough. Does he put the bumper to him?
It's going to be a wide entry coming to turn 12. There's the bobble. Zalinski looks low. Wilson throws the block. 1 corner. 1 more bump and run. But Steven Wilson will hold off one of the very best. And Wilson wins the eNASCAR Chicago All-Star Street Race.
What a block. What a block that Wilson made there.
Unbelievable. Having to navigate that final corner while also blocking, that is a well-earned victory from Steven Wilson. Batted 1,000 tonight, a perfect night for him.
A beautiful job, and I didn't think he was going to get to him when they came off at 10, but next thing you know, Bobby's close. Steven lights up the rear tires. He shuts the door once, and Bobby decided, all right, you're going to block me. It's fair game at that point as the 10 gets to celebrating, and once he threw the block, Bobby squared him up, gave him a shot, and give credit to the 10 because he held on to it. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. And let's take a look again at tonight's Coca-Cola winning moment all the way down to the final lap here on the streets of the Windy City.
Seems like everybody's kind of joining in the celebration right now. Got a couple drivers burning out right now. Wilson kind of, again, they're taking that long access road around 4 and 5 at the moment.
And maybe celebrating get it out of this race without making enemies. Not something that everybody can say here this afternoon. Here's a look at your Coca-Cola move of the race, and let's watch this one, Alan, from the perspective of Bobby Zalinski. He's going to make up a lot of ground from the right-hander that they're coming up to in turn 7 all the way to the very end of this lap. You're going to see the 18 machine go from all the way back, and then he ends up eventually closing all the way into the bumper again. Wilson did a good job to build that advantage, but that might have been the best set of 3 corners we've seen all night in reference to Zalinski for him to be able to close that gap and get to him. Let's watch it from the perspective of Bobby Zalinski.
Yeah, and so many times the move of a race is the winning pass. How often is it the winning block, the winning maneuver? That's what we are going to see out of Steven Wilson here. He is the one being hunted. He is the one being tracked down for this victory, but that advantage as the leader, look at this, gets loose coming off that corner, has the race to lose right here, throws the block, and also navigates the final corner, takes one last tap from Bobby Zalinski. That is a well-earned victory from Steven Wilson, yet another one on the season.
And credit to both of them, Blake. You know how easy it is to go too far. They raced hard, they made plenty of contact, but neither of them stepped over the line.
Exactly, Evan, and I think that Zalinski, he saw what Wilson did. He saw the block. He was going to give him the bumper, but Wilson just timed it perfect, and Zalinski hit him in a spot. It didn't upset Wilson, but I thought Kerwin had a shot there for just a moment if they got together like that.
Sure, he did as well. He ends up finishing only 0.4 of a second off of the back of the battle for the race win in third. But tonight is about the Stewart-Haas Esports number 10 of Steven Wilson winning on the streets of Chicago. Alan, you're with him.
Yeah, Steven Wilson, thanks for joining us. Another victory on the season. Race car drivers have to look out the front windshield, but that final corner, what are you looking at with Bobby Zalinski on your bumper and having to pull off a block?
Yeah, you know, I'm just sitting there. I knew I had just about threw it away there on the second last corner, so I didn't know I had that pace in me. I didn't think I would be anywhere close to beating some of these guys, but yeah, it was a fun race, and just had to block him good enough so that I could park it on him in the center, and the hit wouldn't be able to do anything. The way these cars are now, they're pretty tough, so just had to make sure he couldn't get to my inside, and just brought it home.
You knew the hit was coming. What is that like as a driver, knowing the contact will be there, but you still have to keep it pointed forward?
Yeah, it's tough. You have to just assume that you know what the car is going to do. You have to assume that it'll keep straight, and if not, that's just how it is. We're all here to win tonight, and we got it done with a pretty good block there. So, yeah, good pace. I mean, didn't expect it, but I'll take it.
You are going to a NASCAR race with 3 of your friends. You are going to the NASCAR driving experience. How excited are you for those?
Pretty excited. I didn't know about that last one, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And got to shout out all these guys. Well, as for us guys, I was told since my teammate Dylan didn't win the race, I would shout out him and dedicate this win to him if it happens. So shout out to Dylan, and yeah, just thanks to all these guys at Suros, all the partners, and yeah, hope to get this good momentum, keep it for the rest of the season.
What a night. Congratulations to Steven Wilson. Up and down night for Stewart Haas Racing in general. Dylan Duval not getting the good end of the Open, but Steven Wilson getting the victory. Congratulations to them. What a race.
Speed, the consistent factor across all of those. And second to him tonight is Bobby Zelensky. Let's get his perspective, Alan.
Bobby couldn't make it too much closer on that final lap. We just talked with Steven Wilson. He knew the hit was coming. What more did you need? Because you were right there.
Yeah, the lap prior to that last little confrontation, he hit all his marks, and it kind of kept me out of dive bomb range. I was thinking about dive bombing him up by like turn 6, 7, but I just wasn't close enough. But I was a lot stronger than him in the last sector of the track, and I got to him, and he went to block to the very bottom of the track. And I'm like, well, I have no option but to just plow through him, but the cars are bricks, and I didn't really budge. It just got to stop me on my tracks. But I tried just spinning him out, or I don't know, just going through the rear of the car and see what happens. But yeah, just I don't know what else I could have done.
We're going to see this track in real life next year, the Cup Series drivers. How do you describe how difficult this place is? Because we saw how skinny it was, how thin it was at times, how difficult it was to find places to make those passes. How do you describe the challenge that these drivers will have next year?
Well, you probably saw my Interstate Batteries Toyota sending it on like Steven twice before that caution, and I sent it on Matt Busa and did him a little dirty, honestly, on the restart. That's how you have to make passes. You have to honestly make a little contact, because if you get to the inside of somebody, it's usually the opposite direction turn is next. So I went up Steven twice, but he had the inside line for the next corner, and then I'm like, ugh, especially when you try to go past in turn 1, and then you're side by side out of turn 2, like that turn 3, that really fast right-hander. Like if you're on the outside, you're going in the wall, or unless that guy is nice to you on the inside. So it's really tough, which is why it got to make a little contact or just be a lot faster than the guy. And when you're talking about Steven and guys like Casey, Mitchell, like everyone was racing up here, we're all really close in driver ability. So it's all down to those little mistakes and seeing if you can take advantage of, which is what I tried to do to Steven at the end. But hey, I had a blast, honestly. So good job to Steven.
Congratulations. Close, but nothing tonight. Congrats and good luck next week at Watkins Glen.
I would go try to win that one.
And of course, no surprise that even though it was a first ever for a race on the street course, it's some of the very best on the road courses in the series that are up front. As we take a look at your Coca-Cola full race results tonight, your most recent road course winner at Road America, Steven Wilson, takes home victory tonight. He'll get that set of NASCAR race tickets and an opportunity to participate in the NASCAR driving experience. 2/10 up on Bobby Zelensky in second. Casey Kerwin, Graham Bolin, and Garrett Maines finishing inside of the top 5. With Blake Reynolds and Mitchell DeYoung, despite an early wreck, recovers for a P7 ahead of Bryant of Acurio in 8th, Dylan Alton 9th, and Jimmy Mullis in P10.
See Ray Alfala there in 11th, trying to kind of work his way up here in a non-points race. Retzlaff fell back to 12th. How about Bob Bryant? Not a driver in this series any longer, and I mean, he's beating some pretty stellar drivers. You see Nick Ottinger, Matt Busa, a couple of more drivers with the win, so not a bad return to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series for Bob Bryant.
And of course, it is going to be a huge race next time out when the road to $300,000 continues. And we head to iRacing's virtual Watkins Glen International. Graham Bolin won this race last year, Alan, but we know Zelensky, we know Wilson's going to be coming back for more with huge playoff implications on the line in 2 weeks.
I'm thinking about Casey Kerwin. I'm thinking about Mitchell DeYoung, whose night got cut short with that invert. I think there's a lot of players who need victories going to Watkins Glen. It's going to be exciting.
And looking forward to having you, Alan, along with Steve Letarte, joining us in the broadcast booth for that race in 2 weeks' time. But until then, that is it for us here tonight from downtown Chicago. On behalf of our entire team at iRacing NASCAR, for our partners at Coca-Cola, everybody downstairs in the production trailer, and for your broadcast team tonight. For James Pike on the pit road, for Blake McCandless, Alan Cavana, and myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate now a three-time winner, if you will, Steven Wilson, on his dramatic victory here tonight on the streets of Chicago. The road to $300,000 continues in 2 weeks' time on August the 16th from Watkins Glen. That race and every race of the 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series can be found exclusively streaming at eNASCAR.com/live. Until next time, good night from the Windy City, where it's Steven Wilson on top again.